All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 9th episode of 6 on 6. I'm INTERRO. I'm joined, as always, by my venerable co-host, Canadian on the far right of the screen, and then in the middle, it is a Scottish sandwich, so to speak, as Doki will be joining us from NaVi, and that's a very nice, is it a NaVi hoodie? Yes, it is. It's a NaVi hoodie that you're wearing, of course. If you are one of the people that is watching this on YouTube, as always, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. If you want to turn on notifications, we'll be uploading on either Sundays or Mondays, depending on when the video gets finished and what goes on with our schedule. So if you're with the audio crowd on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, always appreciated to give the channel a follow. Now that the shameless plugs are out of the way, welcome everybody to our show. We're going to start off with the first question that we always ask our guests, which is, Doki, how did you get started in Rainbow Six?
Ooh, how did I get started in Rainbow Six? So I played this game for a very long time, since the beta in 2015. I think it was like late December or something it came out, whatever.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? So I started playing in that around then. Just by coincidence, actually, one of my friends says, "Want to play it?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So that's how I got involved. Like before that, I was playing a lot of different games, actually, not so much FPS. I was playing a lot of Arma. I don't know if you know the Arma series, like Arma 2 and Arma 3.
I do.
Like I played a lot of that, like the Daisy mod, those type of things. It's like all I was playing. And then as I got older, I got closer to the games like CS:GO and things like that. And I guess Rainbow Six just kind of hooked onto me because I liked that you didn't have to be like an insane aimer to be good at the game. There was so many different like factors that you could be good in it, and that's kind of what grabbed me and like lured me in. And yeah, so that's how I got started in Rainbow Six.
When you got started in competitive scene, what was it that drove you to play at a top level? Was it just that you were good and you reluctantly ended up there, or was it that you got enticed by somebody, be it a friend, etc., to compete?
I answered this question a while ago, actually. The reason that I got involved in the pro scene, I guess you could say, or just competitive to start with, was a couple of the players that I looked up to at the time, because I'm 20 years old now, so I wasn't able to play comp for a long time at the start of the game. So I actually looked up to like players like Pengu and especially Junis from Penta, and my first goal was to beat them in a go for, like at the start of the game. That didn't go too well. Actually, Pengu I think got me banned from the go for eventually, so that's fantastic. I guess that was a nice welcome gift from him into the comp scene. But yeah, that's actually why I got started. I wanted to like be one of the greats. I wanted to look up to the people that I had that are above me already and kind of be them, I guess. So here I am.
Well, I have to get this out of the way. Aren't most pro players above you?
Oh yes, Parker. Most of them are above me. Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
Sorry, I just had to say I had to say it at least once. So there we go. It's
actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute here.
It had to.
Wait a minute here. Since you brought it up, we gotta actually have a good think who is smaller than me, because there are a few. There are a few.
King George is.
King George.
Wait,
yeah.
Well, he's not a pro player though.
Yeah. Sure. Tell him that.
I think Canto. Canto's gonna say that he's taller than me. He's not. He's smaller than me. Yeah, he's not. I mean, his hair gives him a lot of height, so he's not taller than me.
He's stocky too. I feel like the fact that he's got big shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Retro's also really short. Kicks is really short.
Yeah. You see, I'm actually huge. I'm huge compared to everybody else. I'm a giant.
Yes. Well, I mean, Troy was talking about this in the pre-show when we were waiting to go live, and he said I was astonished that on the reaction to the announcement, somebody typed in the emojis "Doki small."
Yes,
that's my fans right there.
That's you got some good fans.
That's commitment and passion right there. I mean, would people do that for you?
I mean, I don't know if they will. Would they do it for Troy?
They would definitely do it for the White Stare CC75. People love that.
Yeah. I like that one as well.
There was that Reddit post the other day that was like, it was Troy streaming T-Hunt and somebody subbed to him that was like, EG had a 2-map lead at Invite.
Yeah.
Thanks for the $5.
I literally, I said thanks. I didn't realize at first like what it said. I was like, "Oh, thanks for the sub," and then I was like trying to make out the name. Like I was looking at it, trying to make out the name, and literally by the time I made it out, I was like, "Oh, fuck you!" Like, never mind. Like,
Unlucky, man. I mean, it made you who you are, Troy.
no, it's part of it. No regrets.
Part of it.
No regrets. I would stand up on those stairs all over again.
The one of my favorite interactions was just when I responded with the C75 on the CZ75.
There's been a lot of them, man.
There's been a couple good ones. That one was, it's like all I did was upload a picture. No words. Didn't need to. All right. What was it like developing your talent in the UK scene? Because if you look at EU talent and you look at the history of competitive Rainbow Six in Europe, the UK scene has always been in its weird little bubble. It's never really broken in, I would say, to the official professional league. I mean, obviously you had Playing Ducks, that obviously merged into Snook and Nose, and then was Team Secret, and then along came you guys when you were, M&M. What was it like developing your talent in the UK scene, and what was the early UK scene like for people that didn't follow the competitive aspect of it?
I think this still stands today for the UK scene. I think the reason that it's not so successful, I guess you could say, on the global stage is because a lot of the players have conflicting attitudes and opinions of each other.
Sounds like NA.
Like a lot, like really a lot. Like you either like are really good friends with a bunch of group of people, like we are right now, or you just despise the enemy team for not really a particular reason, but you're never going to speak to those guys ever again. So it's probably for that, and it's also probably that they just keep kicking players from their team instead of working with them. Like I think that the UK mentality is, oh, if he's had a bad game, let's just replace him. So I don't know. Maybe that's why I can't really say so much because I've actually not played in so many UK teams, to be honest, apart from the core NaVi roster, what it was with me, Kendrew, and Citizen. But yeah, how did I get started? I think the first team I played in was Vex Gaming, it was called.
Oh, that's a throwback.
And that's when Pengu was also in that team, like subbing in for the UK league, with Feral as well at the time. And we actually made we made the finals of that season that we were playing in, and we then beat the current M&M roster of the time, and that kind of, I guess, pissed them off a bit. So I don't really know. And we kind of merged those two teams together at one point and made like one like UK super team or whatever at the time. And that's how like me and Citizen started teaming together and stuff like that. Because I was I was on loan to M&M at the time to play in Dreamhack in Jönköping in Sweden.
Yeah, that's where we first met. Well, that was the M&M roster. It was like you, Kendrew.
No,
Kendrew was playing Unpacked at the time, right?
Yeah, he was playing Unpacked with Saves.
He was with Saves Unpacked, the Polish team. Yeah.
It was me, Fonkers, Prox, Frau and Nello. That's who it was at the time. And then after we got wrecked,
I forgot about Frau.
Yeah. After we got wrecked at Dreamhack, we came back and combined the rosters of Vexed and of M&M, and that's where Citizen got involved. And
who did you play? Who did you play on stage with? I casted that match, if I remember.
We played Empire and Mocket.
You played on stage, yeah.
Yeah, we played Empire and Mocket, I think. Is that the Mocket that's now Rogue? Or is that the German roster? I can't remember.
I think it would have been the Rogue Mocket?
No,
wouldn't that have been the one that turned into Penta?
The old Penta roster was Penta. That's when Jess was coach, and it was like...
Yeah, you're right.
Panix was on the team.
Yeah, it was with Corey and Rip, so it was a German roster. Yeah, at the time. I guess now is Team Secret, I guess. I don't know.
There's been too many markets, bro.
Yeah,
there's been too many.
There's been
three, right?
That org's been passed around. Yeah.
Yes, people say we played Mock, and I just...
Sure, which one?
Yeah, like, okay.
Well, it's like M&M now. How many fucking rosters does M&M have, too?
Exactly.
Or Elevate. Or Elevate.
Exactly.
How many regions has Elevate been in? Elevate's been in 3 fucking regions.
Yeah.
Like, the current M&M roster, I think, sold their team to Crazy.
Yeah.
Who then gave the team back to M&M.
After half
and
a
then
season.
back
After
to
half
M&M.
a season.
Yeah. So like
That's kind
I
of
don't know.
foul, man. Like
Yeah.
they sold them and they're like, all right, never mind, take them back.
We don't
They're
want
all
them
yours.
anymore.
So
We're sick of these
What's
guys.
the return
Yeah.
policy on this?
That's kind of foul.
so
Dude.
yeah, they've been around.
Imagine you're saying, yeah, I played Elevate. In where? LATAM?
Yeah,
APAC? Xbox? PC?
it's confusing.
Which one? So what was it like getting your feet wet? I mean, I met you for the first time at Jönköping in Sweden. That was a crazy event. It was kind of isolating. That was, I suppose that was your first big international event then?
Yeah, it was my first. Yeah.
What was that? What was it like getting to play on stage? You guys got casted. I remember that.
Yeah,
I think Kicks and Blue might have casted you. I can't remember. I was all over the place in Jönköping. I was also hosting.
I can't remember.
How was that? What was that like
Right.
getting your first big experience?
I mean, as some people may say, were you nervous or whatever? I don't think I was. I was just really excited to be playing, like, actually somewhere relevant, or someone that's going to get exposure at the time. Because although we were a tier 3 team at the time, I knew that we had potential to like do well. Like, we didn't do so well at the event, but we didn't get like 7-0 by like the current Empire roster, who at the time were they were the giants of the scene, right? In
Yeah, they were like
2018,
unbeatable.
they're unbeatable.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't do bad against them, which was good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just fun, I guess. It was a bit of excitement. I wouldn't say nervous though. So, yeah.
That was when the only team that seemed to be able to beat Empire was the G2 squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
They were
this
really
was like I think just towards like the end of like Empire's like rise kind of thing. Like they had just made it into Pro League, then they had that DreamHack winter event.
Yeah.
And like they looked good there, but it wasn't flawless because I think they got third, right? They played like SSG for third, fourth.
Yeah, because
And I'm pretty sure at the time I also thought it was funny because they played Villa there. Everyone was looking forward to G2 like finally playing them, and G2 smoked them.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Tiger played the Blitz.
The semifinals were, it was G2 versus Empire on one side of the bracket and SSG versus Penta on the other side. Because, and once G2 beat Empire, then the real finals ended up becoming SSG versus Penta because G2 already had an invite spot.
Yeah.
And it was whoever won against Penta SSG. And that was really close. It ended up going like deep into map 3, and then Penta ended up winning, and then G2 won the whole thing, which is no surprise. But yeah, I mean, the only team that Empire really seemed to struggle with was G2 at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole no more DreamHacks right now? Do you think that's a good thing, or are you sad that that's not happening
it's
anymore?
hard to say because we're not in the position where like the season is as it should be, right? Like we don't have lands anyways.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really say. Like if we had the Sao Paulo Pro League finals, and then if we had this major coming up in August, and then I think it would be like the EU and US finals would be in December, right? That would be the next thing after the August major.
Yeah. So there'd be, so the ideal rotation, I think that they said for next year is that they want to do SI first quarter of the year, second quarter is NA major, third quarter is EU major, or EU majors in the summer, and then NA major is now in the fall, and then
there would have been another major.
Yeah, the APAC major is in the winter, and then the NA finals are supposed to be like the end of the year. I think that was what they announced at SI, but it's just like obviously everything's been torpedoed.
So like for this, if everything went as according to plan, I think for the sake of like the tier 1 like competitive scene, I think it'd be fine that there's no more DreamHacks. But I do think that the DreamHacks were good for like tier 3 teams and tier 2 teams because like it just gets them out to a LAN because not every team is going to make a major.
Exactly.
And like just to like get people's names out there, get them some experience. So I will say though, like if they still made DreamHacks a thing somehow, like I don't see tier 1 teams that would go to it. So then I don't know if
money was like good enough to go.
Like I don't know how worthwhile it would be. And then if tier 1 teams aren't going, then I don't know if it's as good even for the like I don't even know if it's good for DreamHack to run it anymore. And then I don't know if tier 2 teams go, all that.
Yeah.
So here's my viewpoint on it. One, I mean, DreamHack is the same parent company as ESL. So I mean, it was still in the family, right? And I will tell you, I worked every Dreamhack except for the 2 Valencias, and the Dreamhack crew that we worked with, honestly, probably the best crew I've ever worked alongside. Petter in particular, who would often run things, Jimmy, who did things behind the scene, Axel, who produced a lot of times. Honestly, all 3 of them were outstanding. I love Dreamhack events because Rainbow Six exists in a bubble, and we don't really get a lot of play outside of it. And I'll never forget Dreamhack Austin, because that was the first big event that felt like a big event. And I'm walking around and, oh, Shroud's here. Oh, Dr. Disrespect's here. I get to see, like, at the time I'd heard of Sims before. And, obviously I knew Pansy from CSGO, and I'm getting to watch them cast PUBG. I get to see Smix and the StarCraft crew doing their thing. And I'm thinking to myself, and that was where I met Launders for the first time. And I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, I'm seeing like all these popularities, like Bren and ZP were there from Overwatch. And it felt super fucking cool. And it felt like we were a part of the industry instead of us just being in our Rainbow Six bubble. And for me, it was great. And I always liked them because you get to go around and watch other esports. I would watch the Dreamhack FGC stuff. I would go and I would watch Quake if it was going on. I'd go and I'd watch CSGO if it was going on. But right now, with the way the schedule is, there's just no room for more events. Yeah. And as much as I would love to still have Dreamhacks, the problem is, and I think Troy said this correctly, the big teams would skip out on it, because the way that the point structures work to qualify and the way that the majors work, the big allure, whether we want to admit it or not, the big allure for Dreamhacks was the spots for the majors or the invite. Nobody gave a shit about winning Dreamhack outside of those. For the most part, you talk to a lot of teams, the money wasn't particularly good and there's no real prestige. You're fighting for a chance to get the easiest path, presumably, to go to a major. Additionally, it was excellent live experience because you're actually playing on LAN. The problem is that if you look at Counter-Strike still does Dreamhack, and with the exception of its majors or the big Dreamhack opens, most of the CSGO Dreamhack circuit is like tier 3 teams. And it gets terrible viewership. No big teams go, no big casters go. And it's kind of a footnote in competitive Counter-Strike. Yeah. And I feel like it would be the same for us if we were to try to go back. I wish there were a way for it to be included, but I just don't see it as a possibility.
Yeah. That's how
pretty
I
much.
see it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Very well said.
So that's where I'm at with it. But I love Dreamhack, and it was like I always fought to go to them. So when we heard that there would be 4 minors a year for originally the first year it was 4 Dreamhacks, and then the second year it was the 2 Dreamhacks, Allied Esports, and OGA Pit.
Yeah.
People,
I forgot about that.
Sorry?
I forgot about the OGA. Actually.
Yeah.
OGA Pit was fun, man.
Yeah.
That was a fun tournament.
See, I specifically said I didn't want to go to Croatia and I didn't want to do OGA Pit because I wanted time off. But the one thing that I did say was I want to prioritize the Dreamhacks and particularly Dreamhack Montreal, because obviously it's on Canada, it's on home soil, and it's not too far away. So I always loved working them, and it was kind of a bummer. I hosted Dreamhack Montreal, which would turn out to be the last Dreamhack before obviously the whole competitive structure changed, and it was nice. It meant a lot to me to be able to be the one to sign off that event. So yeah.
But no, like I definitely agree though. It suited the lower tier teams probably better if the invite spot wasn't on the line, because it was just exposure, like you said. So I think that's something that the lower leagues are going to really struggle with now, to be honest. Like if I was on a tier 2 team right now, or even tier 3 team, it's a long road, like a really long road to get to like EU League, any league. Like I'm not so much invested in the NA League, but I'm pretty sure it's like a 9-month road, right? To get somewhere.
Is it 9? It might be. Yeah, it might be.
We have 9-month like long season, and then we have the SI, and then we have like the 2 months off or whatever it was the schedule that they announced. So we have like, I don't know, presumably we have I had like end of December to like beginning of February off, I think, and then we have SI, if I remember, because the big moment that everything changes is in December. That's when like relegations are, and that's when the regional finals are.
Yeah. Because that's another thing, actually, when you speak about that. I didn't realize that relegations also happen on LAN, I believe.
In NA?
Yeah, in NA.
I think,
I'm
not sure
about
EU.
Actually, no, EU as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think the way it works
all
is
at that finals,
the top 4 European teams go, and the bottom 2. And like I also think the top 2 from Challenge League also go.
Yeah, and
So that's
the
like a
teams that
big
are playing in
event.
really. Yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
like a really cool event. Like that's
Yes.
something that's something I'd really like to.
I do like
That's
that.
something I'd really like to see. So I guess that's good exposure for the lower
Yeah,
teams.
it's just a matter of like, yeah, those tier 3 teams, they do have to stick it out for like a long time.
Yeah.
And
like,
I mean,
I think that there's only 1 or 2 spots available at the end of that 9 months. That must be really heartbreaking for some teams. Like imagine if you lose out like your EU League spot or whatever, and you're like, oh, here's another 9 months. I gotta play. You know,
it'd be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like a lot of teams wouldn't like survive that. You know, like
definitely not.
if they made it all the way to relegations and then lost relegations, like some people would be going their separate ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would take a lot. It would take a lot for all 5 people to just be like, all right, let's run it back, boys. Like another 9 months. See you next year. Like,
yeah, nah,
that'd be hard to do.
Bags. Yeah.
I don't know why, but for some reason, Chad is hung up on my eyebrows, even though they haven't changed at all. I don't know why. My eyebrows look identical to where they were because they haven't been touched. I don't know. They're fucking weird.
Not gonna lie, I don't focus on your eyebrows when I'm ever watching you when you cast. To be honest, it's not up there.
Like they're the same. I don't.
You're missing your eyebrow. Apparently,
I don't even understand. Like I see what I look like. They look exactly the same as they always do.
Missing eyebrow.
Chat's fucking weird, dude. They're literally exactly the same. I haven't touched them. So anyway, they're really weird. Anyway, let's get back. You were talking about Dreamhack. The national system in the UK is something that I think needs to be discussed as well. Mm-hmm. Because the UK Prem has been, I think it kind of flies under the radar. Nobody really talks about it that much outside of the UK, and the viewership often can be middling. But I honestly think that UK Prem really ought to be preparing UK teams for EU a lot better than they are. And I guess I kind of want your perspective on this, because you have great talent that's casting it. You've got great matches and you've got good teams that are playing in it. Yet it never seems to lead to any longer success or any greater success outside of the UK. Do you think that's solely just because people don't like playing with each other and it's all egos and attitudes?
I mean, like the only team to come out from the UK is us, right? To be honest, like I don't know if you want to count the old secret roster. I don't think they came from Prem.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, they were made before it, so I guess that we are the only talent to actually make
it. And it was like they were
league.
made along the way. Like they were a team, and then they added UK players like slowly. Because initially it was only Meepy, right?
Exactly. It's like I said to you this off stream. I said I think the UK has an insane amount of really high talented players. However, you're right. Like they don't go anywhere. They just stay in Prem. And I really don't know why that is. Like, I wish I had an answer for it, because there's some really great players missing big opportunities in there. And I don't know if that's because they want to keep playing with their friends or because the teams won't get anywhere. I think one thing we're seeing differently this season of UKIN, it's the rebrand is that a lot of the good players are now coming together to play in the one team. Whereas before, I think you had like 6 teams with like one very good player in each team. And like they wouldn't really make it anywhere because the teams weren't good, but they had good players. So I think that's something that they've definitely changed this season. Like off the top of my head, you have Eminem, who have, Blur, Nathan, Dats, Yonka, and Fonkers, who are obviously names that you've heard of in the past from other teams. Blur was with us for a bit in NaVi, Fonkers on Secret, blah, 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 blah. And then you have Fierce, who have Secretly from Chaos, who's like kind of molding that roster, which I thought was a big change. And that seemed to really help that team out a lot. Taking like 4, I'm not going to say unexperienced, but unexperienced at the top level players, and then combining them with a really structured IGL, it seems to be working like really, really well. So it goes to show that there are players in this league that can play at the highest level, and like for sure. So I hope I see more UK players in the big leagues in the coming like year, I'd say. I think people are going to start branching out.
I haven't really kept up to date with the UK stuff, because one thing that we've discussed on this podcast a number of times is just how much competitive Rainbow Six is happening right now, that unless you're really, really dedicated or you spend most of your day actively watching it, it's very easy to let content slip by. I mean, We have what do we do? We have BR6 on right now. I think literally as we're talking, and then yesterday Mexico was on during the same time. There was some overlap with the qualifiers from North America, and it was just like, good Lord, there's just so much. So for somebody who's not in the UK and somebody who's not well versed, what's the team to watch / teams, and what are the players to watch? Because you'd mentioned that, you know, some of the teams only had one good player, and there were 6 teams with one good player. Now they're all kind of merging together. Name drop. Give a spotlight to the region.
I think Blur and like Nathan and Dats from Eminem are very, very strong individual players. They can pull out stuff, like they can pull stuff out their ass, stuff that's just like, how do you do that? And that's exactly the same with players like Joe. I've heard his name dropped a lot in like any ranked. A lot of pro players are getting angry at this Joe guy for like jumping out windows and playing like a complete idiot, like killing everybody. And I think I tuned into Easily stream or whatever, and like Joe jumps out a window.
I've heard Joe's name a lot as well.
It kills like 4 or 5 guys, and Easy's like, "Oh, this guy's an idiot" or whatever, like spam time. And he is that type of player. Like he is an idiot, but that's actually pretty good when you put that against like a team that might not expect that. And a lot of those teams are actually top tier teams. You know, top tier teams don't expect people to run out, jump out every single window, and do stuff like that. So I think players like that are gonna actually excel, especially in this meta. So Joe is a big name to look out for. And then obviously other players in the team, like you have Kayak and Tyrant, who maybe you haven't heard of.
I've heard of Kayak. I've seen the name on Twitter before.
But they are really strong, like support players and then second entry type of fraggers. Like there are a lot of players that are great. So I'm just happy to see them getting some recognition now, to be honest, because they've been grinding for a long time, like years. And now they're actually being noticed, which is really good to see. So I'm sure that stands for a lot of other national leagues as well. A lot of players that are standing out.
It is kind of strange because when you look at esports, I mean, other than Call of Duty, consoles, outside of consoles, you don't really see the UK being a significant force in the European competitive scene for any real esport, right? Like, if you look at the dominant EU teams in Dota and League, they're Germans, they're Russian, they're French, they're maybe Spanish, you know, they're maybe Scandinavian or Nordic. They're not British. They're just not, right? And the same thing goes with Counter-Strike. You know, most of these CSGO teams, well, I mean, obviously, if you consider it a part of the region, which many people don't, CIS tends to dominate in terms of the actual continent of Europe. But then you've got French teams and you've got German teams that do really well. You know, obviously you had the old Fnatic team and the NIP team that were Swedish too. You don't really have any like outstanding, strong UK teams.
Yeah.
You know, Call of Duty did have it, and I think console esports in general does tend to do a little bit better in the UK, but I do really wonder why. And I think it's fascinating that, you know, the UK has a huge pool of talent in almost every esport for casters. You can't watch a top tier esport right now without hearing a British accent. Yeah. You just can't. You know, and a huge swath of content creators for all of the games are also British, but then it doesn't get quite to that level for the actual competition. And I find that very curious. And I've always wondered why.
Like, you're right. Like the talent is there and it's proven to be there. I'm not so sure about like League and Dota. I don't watch those esports, but I know that in like CS, you have UK players dotted about some places. I'm pretty sure Vitality has UK player in Counter-Strike.
I think one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then again in Siege, you know, you have Citizen on G2, you have Leon on Rogue. Like they are dotted about the place, but they're not so relevant as others. You're right. Like in the European scene, you have like, I guess you could say, a lot of Finnish players, and kind of Nordic players. And I don't know why that is, but I guess their work ethic is maybe better. Like, as I said before, I think UK players sticking together in the one team is a recipe for destruction because of their attitudes that collide with each other, and like just their general like background and how they were brought up and stuff. I just don't think it works at top tier like esports, I guess. Because like here in the UK, I don't know about other countries and stuff, but you know, if you're growing up and you're playing games, like a lot of games outside of like, you know, your FIFAs and your Call of Duties and stuff, you're in a very kind of closed circle of people that do that. You know, if you turn up to high school and you're like, oh, I'm a hardcore gamer or whatever, people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to stay away from you, or whatever. And that's just how the culture is. Like, that genuinely is how the culture is here. Everybody is just super into like football and other sports and stuff. So I really don't know. Like, I'm unsure. I wish I could have the answer.
It's a curious thing for me, and I mean, I do think that British commentators have a leg up on every other region, and it's just that they have the nicest accents. Period.
Yeah.
You know, I could Desichu could literally be just talking about garbage. He could be casting another game, and I'm still gonna watch the Rainbow Six match he's cast. Like he could have a Rainbow Six match on, and he could be casting a Rocket League game on another monitor, and I would still watch it.
Yeah.
Just because it sounds so good, right? So
you get the words out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, imagine that. You know, the English know how to speak English well. Shocker.
Wow.
But well, did you say well?
No, I said wow.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
wow.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the UK, let's focus on Europe, because obviously NaVi in EUL, you came really close to getting a spot in the mini major, as a lot of people are calling it. You fell short. What's your reaction now through the first stage of EUL? What teams have surprised you, your own included, if it's on that list? And what do you think should be some expectations for the mini major?
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Yeah, give it to us.
I mean, you know the team's better, right? Like we just watch shitty tie best of ones.
I guess,
so.
yeah.
Whoa,
that's true.
whoa,
best
whoa.
of ones. I'm sorry, best of ones gotta go, man. That is so shit. Like, oh boy.
In our house, we stand best of threes.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yeah, well,
With overtime.
With
I'd like to
OT.
move into your house. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but EU League teams. Like I'm going to be honest. I think only one team has actually really surprised me, and that's BDS. With a recent addition of Bride. He is just a monster. Like
Yeah.
the fact that guy is playing like Smoke Thermite, and he's currently top of the board in EU League, like just in almost every statistic, you know, clutches, KOST, frags, like it's insane. Like he is very, very strong, and I didn't expect him to have that big an impact on BDS, because he was previously on Vitality, and although he was very standout performer of that team, I didn't expect him to have that big an influence on the rest of the players in that team. So he has obviously like made that team way better or way more structured. I can't tell, but they really surprised me. I thought they were going to be better, but I didn't think they were going to be like championship level competitors.
I will say, and this isn't. I don't even want to say this to take anything away from them, and I don't even necessarily believe it, because I haven't played against them. I have no idea if it's true, but the honeymoon phase is a thing.
Yeah,
like that is a thing with every team. Like teams make a change. You always, like, I even say it to my teammates, like, you know when a team is like actually getting through their problems, like when they last like longer than 6 months. Like if you don't make a roster change for 6 months, you can actually get through some problems together. Because what happens usually is you make the roster change, and then like you'll have like a couple initial problems maybe that'll get quickly figured out, and then like your first 3 months will usually be pretty good, or they'll suck, and then if they suck, then people usually just make a change right away.
Yeah.
But if you like, you play those first 3 months, usually no matter what, a little after that, you start to have some problems. Because like, at least the way I see it, I feel like, is that usually it's like something about your play style changes a little, and just people aren't used to it. Like it's not the same team they're used to playing against. And I think after a little adjustment, then that team starts to have some issues. Like, okay, we kind of have to we have to be more flexible. We have to be able to play differently, so on and so forth. And then they either figured it out or they don't. But that could be a thing. I do think they have a nasty lineup though, and there's very good potential that they stick it out and stay there. But
it's good that you said that, because that actually reminds me of one thing. So when I joined back the NaVi roster, and we had like 3 or 4 play days left in Pro League Season 11, like I came back and I came out like really swinging hard. Like I played very, very well on all of those games. And I'm not saying that I'm playing bad right now, but I'm not playing to my full potential at the moment. Like I think I definitely noticed that, and I've had a rough season, and I wonder if that is because when I got unbanned, I was like, I got something to prove here. I gotta,
Yeah.
there was some fire burning under me or whatever, saying like, you gotta show up here, you gotta show off. And I wonder if that's the same type of thing that teams that make the roster changes happen at the very first kind of couple of months of their play. Because you're right, BDS actually have fallen off towards the end of the EU League season. Like they beat us like 7-5 at the last play day, and then before that they lost 7-1. So that's not two dominant results at all.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a good point.
I think you definitely like you start to know what to expect from teams, right?
Yeah.
And
You figure them out.
a good team though, they'll continue to change things so that you'll still like they'll remain unpredictable. And like they can by all means do that, right? And they have the talent to back it up. Like if they put in the work to like stay unpredictable, they'll be good enough to like carry it on. But yeah, like that's definitely the case. And like that could have been even the case with you is like people hadn't played against you in so long, like combined with the fire. Cause like I 100% know like that is a thing when you're fired up and motivated. But I think, and then like people like probably, aren't necessarily used to playing against your play style. And then now they're going in the match and like, all right, Doki's on their team. Like he likes to do this or something. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like people play with that in mind. So that definitely has an effect. Like our team talks about it with new players as well. Like when a new fresh talent comes in, like obviously like if they come in and they're doing really well, like regardless, that player's like, that's a good player. But there's going to be a point in time where they're going to have to figure some shit out where it's like, people are going to figure them out. They're going to need to kind of recreate their play style to where like people aren't just ready for it, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of like new players come in, they're unknown and they can shoot. Don't get me wrong. Like they can shoot, but like they might only have like these couple of positions that they like to play in and they play it the same way every time. And at first, I mean, you have no idea how that guy plays that. But then like after however many months, now all of a sudden you're like, all right, this guy sits in this spot every fucking time. He doesn't move.
Yeah.
Like either like let's kill him this way or like we won't peek him or like whatever. But there's a lot of ways about it, and I think that's something in Siege that goes a bit unnoticed, and that's what causes the inconsistency in play styles, and that's why being consistent is so difficult, right? Because like you have to keep in mind, like the other team's smart too. Like they're gonna prepare for you.
Yeah, that's one thing I say all the time is like when you're looking at your losses and stuff like that, or like why did you lose? Like you're playing a very good team all the time. Like the team that your opponent is very, very, very good, if not better than you, if not or equal to you. So I think that's something people don't actually realize, especially like top tier players. I think they don't give their opponents so much respect sometimes and realize who they're playing against. So yeah, and speaking of like the new talent, like I actually got a question for you guys. Like I think NJR and Iconic are pretty fresh faces in the scene in NA, and they have made like a really big impact, right, on both of their teams. Have been playing great. Did you expect both of them to be where they are?
I expected NJR to go nuclear. I did not expect Iconic to do so well.
Yeah, but did you expect them both to go straight to Pro League, like upon turning 18?
It depended. Like it more depended on teams. Like I knew people were aware of them, but like I don't know. Like I'm not personally like I don't keep in touch with like a lot of teams. Like I don't know. There's group chats in the NA scene and shit, and like fucking people just tell each other shit all the time, right?
Yeah,
like I know nothing about that stuff, so like I find out shit like when the public finds shit out, or like if some of my team heard, like I don't know shit usually. Yeah. So I had no idea if they would actually get picked up. Like obviously we weren't going to pick them up, but I knew they were good. Like we knew I knew NJR was nasty. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think Iconic. I wasn't impressed by Iconic before. I wasn't. He's been doing really well in Pro League though, and he's impressed me. Like
really well.
I'm not gonna really well. I'm not gonna take anything away from him.
Yeah.
But also like it could have been like he only played against us, so maybe he struggles against us. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't now. I don't know what it is. But like before, I wasn't really impressed by him ever. I was always impressed by NJR though.
Yeah, I was just curious. Like I was wondering if these were like rising stars.
Like it was always potential, just because like we knew the Sonics probably wanted to make a change in that the Disrupt team was like figuring out their roster. So there was a lot of tryouts that went on, and like we had heard
still are going on, by the way.
Yeah, like
in North America,
people were trying people out like forever. like that whole OB team, which was like Lags,
Yeah. I know what you
J90,
mean.
yeah, Iconic,
Because they got a shot in Sonics as
NJR.
well, right? And they did well.
Yeah,
Like,
to my knowledge, yeah, they like all got tryouts.
So
But
that's
yeah.
actually cool.
I had heard about Iconic as kind of like a ranked star. Obviously the OB team was one that if you kept your ear to the ground of like the amateur like underage scene, you heard a lot about this. And there's been a slew of underage squads that have players on it that the moment they turn 18, they're going to get picked up. I mean, Bolo was one of them. You know, Sweater was very much on that as well. And I'd heard a fair bit about Iconic, but you know, to be completely honest, the one thing I'd heard about Iconic more than anything was that he literally just leaked everything to everybody, and just don't ever tell him anything. You know, I hadn't, I'd heard far more about his conduct out of game than I'd heard it in game. I mean, obviously we'd all seen those clips of him diving through skylights and breaking in windows or jumping out and getting really ridiculous kills. And you're like, what the fuck is this? But that's not going to translate to professional play. So, I mean, you can watch that and think to yourself, okay, this guy's a ranked star. Obviously he's a young kid. He's got a good shot, but you know, the greater issues there are discipline, game sense, yada, yada, yada. NJR was somebody whose name I'd heard a lot of people saying that, you know, he was cool under pressure. He had good decision making coupled with good mechanics. And he was definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I think that DG roster, like most people thought, was dead on arrival until they made that change. And I honestly think, and this is no disrespect to Drip, I honestly think if they don't make that NJR change, they're scrapping with E United to be by far and away the worst team in the region. I mean, that's exactly where they are right now. They're in 7th to E United's 8th. But I think they're significantly worse without NJR. And he makes up, he patches so many holes on that team alone. I won't be surprised if they make further roster changes. I think there's some good young talent out there. And honestly, if I'm Disrupt, I get it. Like Disrupt went and they got a bunch of old players that have been around somewhat for a while and they're experienced, and it's like a team of journeymen, right? If I can use that term that was used on Twitter, I think like last week, it was like a team of journeymen. But if I'm DG, I'm literally picking up a team of all young players who have heaps of potential. And with how bad E United is right now, you're probably not going to get relegated because E United's so bad. So it's like at this point, all you need to do is just pick up a bunch of rookies and let them grow. And in a couple months' time, you're going to have a really good fucking team. And you've also cornered the market on like the 18, 19-year-old gunners. So I think NJR is a great pickup. I'd pick up a couple more. I think there's a lot of upgrade potential on DG. And I think that if NJR is the start of this, I think that DG team could be pretty mean in a year or so if they do pick up the right players.
Like, if you're saying that this is something that I think a lot of teams have a problem with, like, okay, so you're saying NJR is a great player, blah, blah, blah. He's always turning up and he's patching the holes that DG have. However, if you're relying on one player to fix your team or one player to patch those holes, that's also not a good sign. Like,
it's definitely a problem for the team.
Yeah,
he makes up so many weaknesses on his own.
Exactly. So if you're needing one guy to patch the holes of a full team's mistakes, that's not going to work. Because what if he has a bad game? You can't blame him for that.
It's definitely problematic long term.
Yeah, if NJR doesn't show up or if he gets shut down, it's going to look like the old it's going to look like the old Reciprocity squad, where if Laxing didn't show up, that team would be in significant trouble. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I don't like to put my money in the bag for teams like that because people have bad games. Everybody has bad games.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to put the blame on him if he had a bad game, you know?
Yeah.
The blame is on the team for not having more consistency. You know, if you know, there will be rounds where NJR dies, and I'm sure there's a team comm from one of the teams being like, yo, I got NJR, we win the round.
Yeah.
100% there are teams saying that. And you obviously you can't be doing that. Like, you cannot allow that to be something that can be said about your team.
I do think they're getting better and stuff. Like, I do think they're getting better and everything.
Yep.
Like, as a team and all that, but they do rely on him too much. And I mean, I think part of that is they might need to like make some changes in the future to like upgrade some spots. But I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not even like 100% sold on some of Like I don't have changes on the top of my head like that they should make, but they do rely too much on him right now. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can make arguments with a lot of teams that they rely on players too much. Like people could say we rely on Rampy too much or something, but like I don't know. Like, I do think
that doesn't come across for your team though. Because
no. I
you
know.
have
I'm
other
just giving an
standout
example.
performers, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely better examples of that, but yeah, they probably rely on him too much.
Yeah.
I think that's the case with a lot of like lower level teams. Like they're a tier 1 team, but like not like they're not like in the absolute top best of NA right now. They're not yet. They can fight for it, and like if they play well enough, like it can happen. They could beat a top team, but like they are an underdog in that kind of matchup. And fuck, where was I getting at? Like I lost it. I lost it. Oh my god. No, if they want to go like beyond that though, like that's a common thing with like your like 6th to 8th place teams. I feel like is like sometimes they just have a superstar, and like the weight isn't as like well distributed. Like it's not as well rounded of a team. That's just how it is. I mean, they'll get better and eventually they'll become more well rounded, maybe, but it takes time.
I mean, this is the Challenger League path that we've seen through North America. And I mean, I don't think there's a better example that most people will remember than the Beast Coast, reckless roster. The team that burned their way through Challenger League was ZZ, Breezy, Powerful, Schlongy, and Goddess. And then the team that ended up playing in Pro League had Laxing and Foxay and Retro all on that squad. Like those 3 players, Laxing, Retro, and Foxay, are such huge fucking upgrades on that roster, right? It's like you go from a team of where your potential or your average, let's say this is like Madden or FIFA, and we're gonna rate all the players out of 100. You go from a squad whose score / rank is like 65 to adding Foxay, Laxing, and Retro, and now all of a sudden your team is a 78. Like you've now upgraded all those positions. And I think the path that a lot of these lower teams take, and DG might make this as well, is you have somebody like NJR who, for hypothetical sake, let's say he's a 90 and everybody else on that squad's a 60. This is hypothetical, so don't get mad if you're a DG player.
Oh,
what you're going to do is you're going to want to say, okay, well, we can maybe pick up an 80, and now you've upgraded one of those 60s to an 80. And then you do that again, and now you have a 90 and 2 80s and 2 60s, and your team is already immediately better. And you just continuously cycle players out. I mean, look at Space Station. The Space Station roster was great back in the day. They were good enough for a middle-of-the-pack Pro League squad when it had Chala, Trippin, Redeemer, etc. on it, and they very slowly made upgrades. And now they're
that was literally the joke. The
Sorry?
joke was like that SSG, like they couldn't stop making roster changes. Like that was the joke, because they made changes more than anyone else before. It was literally every 3 months there was like at least one change, if not 2.
Yep.
We haven't made one since I joined, but like that's it's kind of the path you have to take sometimes.
But there's also, I think, a good saying, and Young actually talked about this. Young talked about it on this stream, and I think Mo might have touched on it as well, when both of them were talking about how they had tryouts for Pro League teams. Both of them just kind of said, like, the teams that are trying me out, I don't want to play for.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but like, it's true. If you're a superstar and you see a team, Fluffy Kittens, that are all a bunch of 60s, and you're an 85, are you going to want to play with them? You're going to be on a losing team where you're probably going to have shit stats.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to a team that is clearly worse than you? No, you don't. But for the younger players with tons of potential, this is perfect. And that's why somebody like NJR, if he's friends with these players and he wants to prove himself, this is an excellent opportunity for him. Now, the key for DG is to not let NJR leave. You want to build around him. And my focus, if I'm Disrupt, would be I need to grab somebody who is equally as talented, who will be able to play off and support him. That would be my focus if I'm Disrupt.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to lose a player like that if he is your light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
For your team. So yeah.
This is a good topic. Let's actually use this topic to discuss what happened last night on Twitter while we're staying on NA before we pivot back to EU, because obviously everybody saw it, and I woke up to it this morning and I was like, holy smokes, what happened last night? So for the people that need a brief recap, essentially what happened was all of the matches that are getting played off stream, which is the 2 lower bracket matches, which was the Tempo Mirage game, and then was scheduled to be Mirage versus the Sonics. After the Sonics, by the way, had just played 2 best of 3s literally back to back with 30 minutes in between these games. It was supposed to go on at it was like 11 o'clock or 11:30 on the East Coast, which is an outlandish hour to start a match at. I mean, who would ever play qualifiers at that time? As we casted the 4:30 a.m. qualifiers. That was the joke. But basically, Caliber Jacob tweeted that he had taken off work to cast this match, and he was bummed out that the match ended up getting postponed, which was the right call, by the way. Postponing the match to another day, that's the correct call to make. No team should have to play 3 best of 3s back to back to back like that. It's exhausting. It is not competitive. I'm glad that whether it was Sonics, pushing for it, whether it was Mirage pushing for it, whether Face It or Ubisoft made that call on their own, I don't care who deserves credit. Thank you for moving that match. It was a bad idea, in my opinion, to play all of them back to back to back. It was sensible that they changed it. But anyway, Jacob just tweeted out, and it was kind of a I'm upset for myself kind of tweet, a pity party tweet, so to speak, that basically said, I took off work for this, and now it's being postponed. Like, this sucks. And Super jumped in and said something like, to the effect of like, oh, boo-hoo that you don't get to work. Like, we just played 2 best of 3s back to back. Like, fuck off. We need rest. And then all hell just fucking broke loose on Twitter, and the gates of hell opened and all of the demons rushed out, and it's just like everybody's in on it. And it was just like, it's like Jacob poked his friend at the other table. So his friend in the cafeteria, Jacob poked his friend, and then his friend went to throw like a yogurt at Jacob, but missed. And now there's a full blown food fight and everybody in the cafeteria is fighting. This is basically what happened. Eventually what ended up happening is Jacob deleted his tweet. And then the Sonic stepped up and covered what would have been the wages that Jacob would have made for taking that shift off, or would have made if he hadn't taken that shift off, which is a huge bro move from the Sonics, by the way. They don't need to do that. I would imagine, I don't know. He works at a grocery store, I think, in Colorado, minimum wage. You're probably looking at $80 to $100, maybe, depending on how much he's making. Huge move from the Sonics. They didn't need to do it. They did it. But I want your 2 thoughts on what happened, because I caught up on it via the subreddit. Thank God for the Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit. They might miss a lot of action and they might miss a lot of matches, but they sure don't miss the drama. That's for sure. So I just want your 2 thoughts on the situation and how you think it was handled from all parties involved.
You go first, Doki.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it so much until this morning when I recapped it. People were posting screenshots and stuff, deleted tweets everywhere. And I mean, like honestly, I mean, he took his shift off work, which I get is a pain in the ass for him. But you need to realize that the people that the game was moved for, that's our jobs as well. That's those guys' jobs who are playing right there, and it's those guys' jobs to win. So you need to look at it from 2 perspectives and realize that moving it is actually better for everybody, right? It is. Yeah. There's more people, like, as sad as it is for Jacob not getting his shift in or not getting the money that he needs, apparently, or whatever, that's 10 people whose lives have been bettered instead of 1 guy. I don't know, like, it sucks, but I don't think, like, life does suck sometimes. I don't think that he needs to be repaid or whatever for missing that shift. Like, I get it was nice for the Sonics to do, but maybe this is just me coming in and being a horrible little demon. But I don't think stuff like that is needed to happen. Like, so yeah, I don't know. Not a fan of that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more because like I think the fact that they paid them is more along the lines because of how, like, the Sonics fucking, like, the players fucking swung on him, bro. Like, it was brutal. And it was like, I think they only did it because, like, Bro, they just missed, like, they just barely missed out in that series. They had just played 2 series. Like, bro, I would be irritable as fuck. Like, if I saw that tweet, I might have done the same thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been brutal because I would have been super irritable, and that, like, they were the same way.
Yeah.
I agree though. Like, at the end of the day, like the players being well rested for like to have an actual match. Like, people are there to watch the match. They're not. They're not there to listen to Caliber Jacobs casting. They're not.
There would be people that would be there to support Jacob, but yeah, the lion's share of people are tuning in for the match. Yeah.
Oh, so he was actually meant to cast as well. That's, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then maybe that's a little different then.
That's why he took the shift off
with Red Cube, which is why he took it off. Yeah.
Yeah, he took the shift off so he could cast.
Yeah.
Like would he get paid for the cast?
No. To the best of my knowledge, community casting doesn't pay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and speak from a place of ignorance and say that whenever I did community casting and all that jazz for ESL, never ever got paid. I know that they paid. There was, I don't know how many seasons, but there was at least one season where they paid Challenger League casters to cast. But this is community casting, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that is relatively new, because if you remember, there was no community casting as of 2 weeks ago. So I highly doubt they've added a sum in terms of it. But
then I don't see, that's an even bigger point. I don't see why he would get paid his work shift. Like, he took it off to do some pre-casting, right?
Well, it was just more the fact that I guess he took the shift off and it didn't happen, and he was bummed out because he could have gone to work instead. Like, I get it, because in advance, like, that was what the schedule was, right? Like face it shouldn't have made that the schedule in the first place. I agree with that. And that bums him out. But I do think it was insensitive for him to tweet that, because like the players are fucking going through it, and he did not word the tweet well, and that has been like said over and over again.
It's also been a reoccurring theme with his Twitter.
Yes. Like it was
so
the way he phrased it, like it was like, it was very pity party, like victimizing, like,
And I can come in here with my perspective, because I also took off work to cast, but it was CCS, which was much smaller potatoes. At the time when I had just started casting and I was doing CCS was being played Wednesday and Friday nights. Well, at the time I was serving and bartending. For the people who aren't aware, Friday nights are often the second busiest night of the week for that job, and it's good money, and I would take off every Friday. Why? Because it was important to me that I cast to build experience. And what a lot of people don't realize is that people turning around and saying, oh, boo-hoo, you're the one who took off work, realize that sometimes you need to make sacrifices in order to try and accomplish a bigger goal. And if his goal is to become a professional caster, he needs experience. Getting to cast a professional level team in a qualifier that will be put up on YouTube and watched by thousands of people is invaluable experience. And all these people that are kind of hand waving it away, being like, well, it's just a hobby, don't seem to realize that if people aren't making these if I didn't make those sacrifices for CCS, I'm not here. If I adopted that attitude and I worked my shifts on Friday nights and I didn't cast the big matches, I probably wouldn't have had the experience to go into Pro League. I wouldn't have had the experience to get recognized. I wouldn't have the skills to get recognized. I wouldn't have had the body of work for people to look back on. I wouldn't have made those same, relations with different players and connections with different players and casters. I'm not here right now if I didn't make those sacrifices to take off work and sacrifice good money to do this. And I think a lot of people are looking at it in the wrong direction. Now, I will say this. The tweet from Jacob, if you're going to tweet as a voice of the community, as he kind of does, that's not the type of tweet that you put out on that account. He has a private account that a lot of people have private accounts that are followed by a couple dozen people. That's where that tweet goes. You do not put up a general, I'm sorry for myself tweet when other people are being impacted on a public account, because and a lot of people said this, like, oh, it's his personal Twitter, he can say whatever he wants. If I were to come out tomorrow and say, fuck you, Ubisoft, fuck you, Face It, blah, blah, on my Twitter, do you think there would be no consequences? Well, it's my personal Twitter. I'm allowed to say that, right? Well, wrong, numbskulls. There's going to be consequences for the things you say. Just because it's your personal Twitter doesn't mean I can go out there and start dropping slurs and not expect there to be consequences. So if Jacob is going to go out and he's going to complain on his Twitter, yeah, you're right. It is his Twitter. He can say whatever he wants on it in theory. But it doesn't make him immune from consequences, and he'll still be held accountable for the things he says. So when he goes out there and he complains, well, he's complaining off of an account that is essentially a business account, as much as we hate to say it, in the scene. If he had put it on his whatever, this Jacob dude or whatever his private account is that he still has, that he used when his original account got banned, a couple weeks ago over that brouhaha with Uzumaki, if he had put it on that account, I don't think anybody would have given a shit, and we all would have moved on. But he posted on a public account where it's, hey, don't forget about me, look at me, I'm bummed out, which is not the kind of thing you do when, as Doki pointed out, you have 10 other people who are impacted by this. And not just 10 other people, you have the people who would be spectating it, which is, I think, Crater. You had the other caster, which was Red Cube. You've got the coaches who are going to be staying up. You have the social media teams from Mirage and the Sonics. You've now got about 20 some odd people involved. Yeah. So all of these people are now getting the night off, which was the right call. And I hope that in the future, Face It stretches these things out, because I thought that it was a problem that the Sonics were playing 2 matches back to back with minimal breaks to begin with. What would have been better is the DZ Tempo or the DZ Mirage match goes, Tempo Sonics goes, and then, as much as I hate to say it, then you have the Tempo Mirage match third, which allows the finals to have a bit of a gap. And yeah, it sucks that Tempo's going to play 2 maps back to back, but it's the lower bracket. It's literally for nothing other than points. Who gives a shit? Have that Tempo Mirage match third and then do the finals. That's what should have been done, or just have it over 2 days and have the finals be played. Yeah, and have the finals be played today. That's what should have been done. That's what should have been done. And I mean, it's a learning curve. ESL was still making these kinds of decisions that we had complained about and we had given feedback for, and ESL was still making it in their 3rd year. Right? So it's give Face It time. One thing that I will say so far about this Face It Ubisoft partnership is that they have been excellent at taking feedback and very quickly acting on it. They listened about the community casting. They listened about the feedback regarding limits on Canadian and US division players being allowed, etc. And in Challenger League too. They've been receptive to feedback. The thing that crossed the line for me in that whole engagement was Super didn't need to jump in, but it's Super, he did. He likes to antagonize from time to time. I would have taken umbrage with that tweet if I was Super. I probably wouldn't have said anything, but I can see how tensions run high. The other thing too is that Jacob immediately fired back by saying, like, this is my Twitter, like I'm allowed to vent about whatever I want. Yeah. And then he said something like, stick to choking major qualifiers, which is just, it is
that wasn't a wise one.
It's like, you're going to come at Seth with that after he just lost a really emotional match in which he's already been so pissed. He literally walked off the interview with Face It earlier. Like, that was so dumb from Jacob. That was a huge blunder. And that's what ultimately set everything off, was his answer back. If he had said to Super, like, you know what, you're right, I was just venting, my bad, like, you know, I like, etc. Just like, you're right, I was venting, you know, it was a good game, like, you guys played well, like, I look forward to casting you guys tomorrow. None of this would have happened. But he didn't de-escalate. He threw an entire truck of propane onto that fire, and then everybody just blew up. And that's where shit really got out of hand. And that was 100% on Jacob's shoulders. And I mean, I can understand he was frustrated, but it's like, you got to think before you tweet, man. You really got to do.
Yeah, definitely.
You really got to do.
You really got to do it. Shut up. My brain is all fuzzy. I called them UB shift like 2 seconds ago because
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I called them UB shift because my brain is like upside down right now trying to process all this. You got to do, you know, it's like I always say, you really got to do.
You really got to do.
So
I like it.
Those are my thoughts on it. I think it was handled poorly by everybody. I hope in the future that Face It and Ubisoft are able to stretch these schedules out. These teams shouldn't be playing best of threes back to back. That's exhausting. If they can avoid it, go right ahead. If they can't avoid it, I mean, we watched the quals from the majors and SI. And I mean, we casted them where teams would literally play like 3 best of 3s back to back. It happens. It sucks. It's not ideal. Sometimes you can't stretch the schedule. If you can stretch it and avoid it, do that. If you can't, then at least try to stick to it. It sucks for Jacob because I know what those sacrifices are like, and I know what it's like being tight on money. I can empathize with that. But people coming at him and then making fun of his job, I think was inappropriate. But all of that was started because he took a swing at Seth when he really shouldn't have.
Yes.
Like, I think something to take away from it that I actually have pretty good experience with is, like, think before you speak, especially if you're speaking to big audience, you know?
Mhm.
So, there you go.
Wise words.
So now that we're talking about toxicity.
Oh, boy. I really led you up for that one, didn't I?
You gave us the segue right in here. I don't even need to pull anything. Now that we're talking about toxicity. You are, to the best of my knowledge, you are the first person on our show who has been banned for toxicity. So let's dive into this one. Because obviously this dominated the Twitterverse and social media when out of nowhere you seemingly get vaporized from competitive play. And I mean, I'm going to kind of leave the floor open for you to talk because my first question obviously is going to be like, how much did this surprise you? I know you've talked about it at length. But for the people that are watching that might not consume other content or might have not heard it before, I think this is a good platform to kind of dive into it. The first point, I guess, that you can dive off of is, did it surprise you? Like, I mean, obviously it surprised you. It sure seemed like it from your Twitter comments. But what was take us to Doki's mindset? Like, what happens? Are you fearing that your entire career is over? Is there a road back, redemption, etc.? And how did you handle that?
Yeah. So to get it started, for people that don't know, because maybe there are people, especially watching your stream from America and stuff, that don't know, I was permanently banned in game on 2 of my accounts, live on stream. By the way, I'll add a bonus there, some clips of that. But yeah, I was permanently banned on 2 of my accounts for severe toxicity in game, which then led to a 6-month competition suspension as well, meaning I can't play Pro League for 6 months. So yes, to answer your question, it was a big surprise. I didn't expect anything like that, nor did I get any warning whatsoever from Ubisoft or organization or whatever. Nobody knew it was coming. And I remember when I got banned, I kind of thought it was like someone's, banned me for something pretty minute or something that can be easily, resolved, or I'm going to get unbanned. It is what I was thinking, but turns out that wasn't the case. They wanted to say, listen, you've wronged, you will now be punished. And I mean, it's true. Like, I think I should have got the ban. I think I spoke to a lot of people about this, saying like I'm not arguing why they banned me or anything like that, but that's one thing I do strongly wish they enforced better, is the communication part of how they got that ban across. Because I would I didn't deserve the warning, like to get a warning, but it would have been nice to know, like if it was coming, like, oh hey Doki, by the way, your career is about to hit the fan in a couple of hours. Just be ready for it.
It kind of came out of nowhere. Like, that was kind of or but, like I'm surprised there was no communication with like your organization or anything.
Yeah,
either,
there was nothing.
Yeah.
But hey, as I say, I know why they did it, and it's happened, so whatever.
Yeah.
But yes, again, to answer your question, at the time I thought I was done, like completely done. I was like, oh well, I'm gonna go back to work, I guess, like normal work. And I'm just gonna leave my Siege career, pack the bags, and never come back. And it was really upsetting. Like, I don't want to say I was like depressed and stuff, but like I was really down in the dumps for like a long while, because I was like, I have gave up my whole life, like without trying to play the sympathy card. I have gave up my whole life trying to pursue a competitive career in this game. I've given up everything, friends, family, job, everything, and then all of a sudden, like, bam, you are gone. Everybody's talking about you being a toxic kid, etc. I know it sucks, but yeah, like it's weird. It was a while ago now, right? Like, it's 9 months.
It's actually a long time ago, yeah.
And I think, I mean, this is probably a bit bad, Don't go getting banned, guys. But I honestly think it's bettered me, way bettered me, like as a person and like inside and outside of the game. Like I've changed like so much. Like I'm still an asshole. Like don't get me wrong. I don't want to not be an asshole. But I have definitely, gained a lot of experience and stuff, and I know when and when not to speak a little bit more now. It's definitely matured me. So yeah, I mean, there's a light at the end of every bad situation, I guess. And I am so unbelievably grateful to be back where I am right now, because put yourself in NaVi's shoes, organization and players. Why would you keep some guy around who can't help you for half a year?
Yeah.
You know, you still need to pay that guy if he's around. You still need to support him if he's around. Why just leave him? So that really showed some respect, especially from the organization, for me and my teammates. Like
I was impressed by that.
Yeah.
Like that shows that you care,
Yeah.
So yeah, and that actually is a big shout out to our team manager, Night End. Like I'm pretty sure he was the guy that kind of pled my case a little bit, and he's always gonna stay really close friend because of that. Like a lot of respect for that guy. He worked his ass off to help me and help me redevelop where I am now. So thank you, I guess.
Were you surprised that they kept you around? Like, what did you think the odds were? And if you'd been dropped by them, what was your? I'm sure you'd probably thought about what was your next step if you got cut from that squad.
I remember speaking to my dad and stuff about this, because my dad helped me like email a lot of like people, email Ubisoft multiple times, email NaVi multiple times, and I was like certain. I was like, there's no way they're gonna keep me around. Why would they keep me around? It's like really why? And then I guess they realized that I am a good player. I have qualified for where I'm meant to be, and I'm doing well in Pro League, etc. And at the time I was building a pretty big audience and stuff on stream, so I'm sure these factors helped like a lot with keeping me involved.
Your stream started to pop off around that time.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't really do anything other than stream, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, that's the other thing. I started helping a team out a lot more on the side as well. As like not so much hard coaching, but like just general things like strat preparation, like calming everybody down after like losses and stuff like that. So I wasn't just not helping the team. I was there.
Right.
But it was really tough period for everybody involved. So yeah.
So
interesting.
You said that it's changed you in game and out. What was the biggest impact on that? Because this is the part I want to focus on, right? Is because, I mean, people have seen the screenshot that floated around. Nobody knows if that's the exact culprit. And still, to the best of my knowledge, your ban is largely still shrouded in mystery as to exactly what you said. Presumably, it was horrific stuff. But the question that I want to ask is, what ways has it matured you and changed you? And how can you tell people? Because people talk about changing all the fucking time, and then they don't actually change. They just say they do. How can you convince people that you have actually changed and you are not going to be saying those same things, and you don't feel those things, even if you ever did at any point, that led you to getting banned?
I mean, like, you know me, like, and you know how people react to stuff about me, like they're always, I guess, making fun of me and stuff. Like it's part of like what I am and the brand I have right now, etc. Which I'm totally fine with, by the way. I'm not saying you need to stop all that. But like I think a big impact I had like after the ban. Like you're right, I don't exactly know what I got banned for. I have a genuine idea, but like the thing that actually kind of resonated with me is what you say actually has an impact on people, even if it's people you don't know online, like people from the other end of the fucking earth. I don't know, like if you say stuff online as harsh as it could be, or as how much of a joke as you think it is, that is gonna impact someone. Like all it takes is all it takes is for you to get angry in a game and you say, oh, kill yourself or whatever, in a game, and that can be the wrong time to say that to one of the people on the enemy team. Like that can actually have a big impact on people. And I think that is what you need to realize, is what you do say however much you think it is a joke, someone is going to take it to heart, and someone is going to be hurt by that, and it's going to change, in a way, change their life or whatever. So it's just kind of like I can't prove to anybody that like I have like changed or whatever, but I know, like, for myself, like, I am watching how I treat other people, and definitely people that I don't know. Like, I'm treating them as, like, maybe more so as an equal than I did before, because like it is horrible what human beings can say to other human beings. You know, it is horrible. So, I mean, I don't think I can prove or to anybody to make them 100% like believe me, or whatever. And I'm not saying that I need to, but I have believed myself, like, I've made it to myself that I have changed, and that I'm going to keep this way for the good, because I feel that it's important to not go back on your word and stuff like that, you know. So I don't know.
Do you feel like you have a responsibility as somebody who is reformed, so to speak?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily buy that you can completely change, not you, just people in general. I don't necessarily buy that you can change your entire stripes in the span of 6 months, 9 months, etc. I think it's a constant learning process, and I think we all have issues with various different things that we need to sort through, and that we are constantly maturing and learning and changing and being better. And sometimes you need a very rude awakening to shake you from your position, which I think you got. And I mean, I don't need to be the one to buy an apology. I don't need to be the one that grants you forgiveness, etc., because it's not me that was impacted by any of the things that you might or might not have said. My opinion, frankly, doesn't fucking matter. The people who were impacted are the people whose opinion matters. So do you think you have a responsibility to those, to them, and to the people who you said awful things to? Do you think you have a responsibility to them to be outspoken and lead by example in regards to being anti-toxicity? Do you think that you owe them, because of the things you said, as a means of showing that you've genuinely changed? Do you think you owe them a platform so that you can speak out against the same things that you allegedly said, to ensure that it doesn't continue from other people?
I mean, like, definitely. I would say that that I should use this experience to definitely help those who I previously offended, or whatever. However, I'm not out here looking for forgiveness or anything like that. It's not what I've never been about that. I don't, there's nothing I can say now or change now that will change what I said in the past. I can't change that at all. But what I would say is now, like, just small things. Whenever I'm playing with people, or especially people who are younger than me, I'm always kind of like cautious to what they are saying or how they are representing themselves, especially if it's in public, in game, on a stream or whatever. Like, you don't know what's around the corner for you. You don't know if you're gonna get 6-month banned as well tomorrow, for stuff you said in the past. So I think it's important for me to get the message out to those people who maybe are going down that kind of path. I guess you could say, I don't want to name names, but like, there are people out there that I know who have said some also horrible things, and I'm trying to kind of, lead by example, say like, hey, look, my career, my whole life was turned upside down. Let's not let that be for nothing, and actually look at why, and look at how you can avoid it. Because to some people, I remember seeing on Twitter at the time of my ban, he was like, "Oh, so what? He was banned from playing for 6 months. His life isn't ruined. He's still able to do what he wants to do." But that's not the case. It's completely ruined. It's like, imagine, Canadian, if tomorrow Lycan came into your room and said, "Hey, you're off the team and you're benched for the next year." Like, how would you feel? Like, what would you do? You'd feel like shit, right?
That'd be bad.
That'd be bad. So like, there are things I think I could still do better to kind of, as you say, like, I owe people some things, but I think right now I'm just trying to lead by example and use my situation as an awareness thing for those people who are maybe going down a bad route in terms of toxicity.
I think that's reasonable.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I mean, it's like I said, it's a rude awakening, and I know a bunch of people in this community who have had very public outings on things they've said in the past, be it homophobic language, sexist language, racist language, etc. Man, fuck, I still see it. I still see tweets that are borderline sexist, borderline racist from people that are within our community, within pro play, or at least on the fringes of pro play, etc. And I just kind of raise my eyebrows, even I guess my less eyebrows now, as chat would say. I raise my eyebrows at it and just kind of think to myself, like, how is nobody from an org dealing with this? You know, like how has nobody stepped in?
Yeah.
How has nobody stepped in to say, like, I get it, you're allowed to have your opinions, and not everybody has correct opinions if you are somebody who even believes that there are correct opinions to begin with. But how is there nobody saying, like, hey, yeah, you can't tweet a thing like calling all women like thoughts. Like you can't use like the term like e-thoughts or e-sluts or something like that as a professional player. Like use your fucking brain. Like,
yeah, there's some things out there that are crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. So that's why I asked you if you think that you have a responsibility, because I take a lot of heat because I'm very outspoken to try to knock this stuff down. And I think that you particularly have a much better example than I do, right? I'm just some snowflake SJW, whatever people want to call it. I think Bacon just calls me a soy boy all the time.
Soy boy.
Yeah, that's the one. And it's like, I speak out against this stuff all the time. And obviously, you know, there's tons of shitty people on social media that will attack you for that and try to invalidate your opinions. And that's why I said, or that's why I asked if you felt, because you literally have it was a teachable moment for people. Hey, I said terrible things. I got banned. It nearly killed my entire career. Fix yourself. And that's just why I asked that question, because to me, it's personally, I think we all shoulder a responsibility, regardless of whether we've been banned or not, regardless of whether we've said bad things or not, regardless of whether we've led a pure life or eat soy or not. But I feel like you, to a certain extent, do. And I will say this, I've seen far less dumbass tweets from you. Like, you used to tweet and say things on stream that I thought were hilarious. They weren't racist or sexist. They were just you being a shithead to your teammates. But even then, you've reduced that to a certain extent, right? And I think that I think that for me, watching your growth over the last couple months, I like to think it's not just an act for show, but it certainly seems like you've learned from what you underwent, and I think that is part of the point. Yeah. I think that's part of the point. If we make mistakes and we own up to them and we prove that we can change, I think that forgiveness from the people who are impacted, because like I said, I can't forgive you, but from the people who are impacted, I think that forgiving somebody for learning and growing, I think is the right thing to do. So.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know my word might not mean anything. It's definitely not an act, but I just wish that, like, for future, like, I guess I was used as an example, a big example, to many. And you're right, there are a lot of professional players still playing this game who are or were extremely toxic and got away with it, some could say. And I think those players need to take from my experience and say, like, oh, holy shit, like, this guy was completely fucked. Like, the fact that he is here where he is now is unbelievable. So I should watch what I am saying and watch what I have said and take more respect when addressing people and stuff like that, because you're right, like, it is an unbelievable big percentage of people who have said really bad stuff who are still playing today. So I think those are the people that need to learn from what I did. You
are also incredibly lucky that you were not either perma-banned or just completely blacklisted from teams, right? So that's that's another thing here too, is that whether you were reformed or not everybody gets that chance. Yeah. And that's like, the thing.
I am grateful I was given a second chance. Like, that is the one thing I have said. It's like, I made this abundantly clear. Like, I am not looking for any sympathy from anybody, Ubisoft or community. Like, the fact that I am where I am now is not just, it's not me that was allowed to be here. Someone has said, let's give this guy a second chance and see what he can do. And I do appreciate that. Like, I really appreciate that because, like, I was in a really bad spot if I couldn't be here right now. So I'm going to make sure that I can use my time here to do something good. So thank you. And I do mean that. So.
Troy, do you have anything to add to the topic, by the way? I realize that
No, I mean,
I've been the one doing most of the talking.
There's not all that much for me to say about it. I feel like I think you're handling it well, Doki. I mean, it was a shitty situation. Like, obviously you fucked up. I'm not gonna like say anything about that. Like, that's obvious enough. But yeah, like it definitely lucky that you've been given the second chance, and I think I don't know you like super well or anything, but I mean, I know that if I were in your shoes, like if I were given that kind of opportunity, like if I had fucked up like brutally or whatever, and that someone's like people like Ubisoft and like an organization like NaVi, like usually organizations and like businesses, like they're not the type of people that are like, all right, here's a second chance for something like that. So like, yeah, I mean, I'd be like you are, like you don't want to fucking waste that, right? Just be grateful for it and just move forward. Not looking for forgiveness. Like the fact that they're giving you a second chance, like that's enough, right?
Oh yeah,
so
definitely. And I think the other thing is people. I know I've said this before, but people who are looking at my situation and say, okay, I can fuck up once and I'll be given a second chance. Like I don't think that's definitely not true. Like I am in a very lucky position, like you say, right now, and like not everyone is going to get that. Nobody is going to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really lucky that you were given a second chance. I think that there are a lot of people who aren't. Obviously, I think this has kind of run its course because we're going to retread the same ground. But the big thing for me is, as long as you learned from it and have genuinely changed, then I think that the healing process, so to speak, I think can happen. And that's the big thing for me, is that, people will ramble on about cancel culture and people being held accountable for things they've said and all that jazz. And I think that if we can prove that somebody has learned from a mistake and has grown and isn't repeating that mistake, then I think that forgiveness is required almost. Obviously there are things that are unforgivable, but I think that if you make comments when you're younger and you grow from it and all that jazz, and then you've proven, that you've grown up. We've had tons of pro players that have said such stupid shit when they were 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're doing a lot better now. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard growing up on social media. Yes. I'm so lucky that like social media didn't really exist until I was like 17, 18. Because I couldn't even imagine the garbage I would have pumped out when I was like 13, 14.
I've said some, when I was growing up playing Xbox Live, bro, I said some dumb shit.
Yeah.
You're the first one to tell you, bro. I was an idiot on Call of Duty. I mean, like nothing horrible, but like I wasn't nice. Like, yeah. I mean, but you learn. Like, I learned it pretty quick, but like that's just, I think, yeah, it's a tough thing to grow up in, and I think it was necessary though. Like for so many people to learn from it, and also like just like your case, like it's in the public eye. Like a lot of younger kids are gonna learn from that. Like if when I was playing like Call of Duty and I was being a fucking asshole, just like in fucking chat and stuff, like if I had like seen an example like you, like while I was that young, like I think I would have learned from it. And I've been like, oh shit, I don't want that to happen to me. Because the thing is like a lot of cases, like when kids say this, they think it's inconsequential, right?
Yep.
And like,
yeah,
you just need to realize it's not, because like you're not thinking of the fact that like you might be later down the line having a career in this game and it comes back to bite you.
Yeah,
what is
no,
going
for sure.
on in the chat?
There is like this peanut gallery of Citizen Gig, secretly Kendrew, Kayak, and Blur, where they were starting like the they were clapping for Doki, and now they're hyper clapping for Canadian instead, and it just
That's the NaVi team speak right there in full force. They're all sitting together in their one little channel, having a right good laugh at this. That's what they're doing right now.
I mean, I'm enjoying watching it. They're hyper clapping for Canadian. I think this is a good time now to move on to how the one question that everybody wanted to ask, and we can actually start to move in because we're trying. I don't know about Troy, but I'd actually kind of like to shorten the podcast just a little bit because we've gotten a number of people saying like 3 hours is way too long. And I think we've honestly covered like pretty good.
I don't want to.
Sorry?
I want to do 4 hours. No. You said I
can't
don't
be
know
boring.
about Troy. I said I don't want it. I want 4 hours.
You want 4 hours? Okay, well,
4 hours minimum.
4 hours minimum. So we're not even 3 hours is apparently like apparently 3 hours is too short. But anyway, I think it's a good time to turn towards one of the most sought after answers on one of the most often asked questions, which is how on earth did you stay relevant during those 6 months of purgatory? Because all you did was stream ranked, which is enough to kill anybody's spirit. So the question
that would have been the worst part of it for me, man. Like,
yeah, imagine you're banned and all you can do is play ranked.
Yeah, just don't take me back.
That would make me learn.
Like really, that was like that was rough, man. Like especially the hardest part was actually staying on the side, like of the team and trying to help the team at the same time. Because then I was really jealous, like really jealous, and the boys can probably tell you still in NaVi, like I was a little bit pissed off when people were like some people in the team were taking things for granted and stuff like that, and even just like turning up late and like not doing basic things. Like I remember I was always like, you piece of shit, like realize what you have here, realize what you could have. You could be me waking up at 9 a.m. and streaming ranked for 4 hours just so I can still have a chance of coming back and then coming on to help the team that I was part of and watch them succeed when I'm not, like that is fucking brutal. That is really brutal for someone to like to like do. And that's what annoyed me. Like people who were taking that for granted, because nobody wants to be in that situation. Nobody wants to play ranked, like it's just not a nice place to be in. And that is why.
I don't think I've played ranked this season, by the way.
No.
I honestly don't think I've played ranked this season. I don't think I finished my placements. I'd have to check my R6 tab stats. I think I've just played casual with some friends.
I did. I got placed plat 3. I got to like the brink, and then I lost to like a bunch of cheaters, and now I'm too low ranked to queue with any of my teammates.
I'll queue with you. You can stay in gold with me.
I'm all right. Thank you.
You sure?
Actually,
it's great down
what
there.
Kendrew said in the chat is actually pretty good. He says he didn't even want to do that. I had to tell him 100 times to try and stay in the scene. Like I didn't really help myself, which is actually true. Like at the time, I was, as I said, I was really like down. I didn't really want to have anything to do with it because all it reminded me of was like failure and stuff, right? Because that's what it just happened.
Yeah, it's easy to get like that. Like you're down, you're sad,
and
you wouldn't want to. I don't know. You wouldn't want to be playing it and like being reminded of it. It would be hard. It would be hard to stay motivated. I feel that.
Yeah.
That good on him though. That's
I do appreciate
that's teammates,
a good teammate, especially Kendrew. He had my back. He wanted to see me back, I guess. I'm sure now he has a different opinion because I'm pissing him off on the team every day. but yeah, thanks. Thank you, Kendrew, for doing that. I do appreciate it.
Right on.
Thanks. Can we get a clap for Kendrew, just as you did for?
Right on, man.
As you did for.
Kendrew claps in the chat, please.
Yeah, and the claps, the hyper claps for Kendrew.
Let me find the clippy pasta.
We're almost at 2 hours, and there's actually a lot of good questions this time. And I feel like one thing, for my eyebrows, very great. Thank you for that, Doki. The hyper claps for Kendrew are obviously important.
Yes.
There's a lot of good questions here, and one thing that we always tend to skimp on are the questions that the community brings in, because usually we kind of just shelve them to like the final 20 minutes. Then we're like, hey, here's a couple quick questions, answer them. Okay, bye. So I like I said, I think we've covered good ground. Let's the last question that I think we can really talk about, and obviously you don't need to dive into super specifics, is what's going on with NaVi this season. What do you think is going on with it? Most of your team is in the chat right now, so obviously no pressure on that one. But just what do you think's going on? How much of it do you think is a byproduct of the system that you're in? And then once that's done, let's dive into these questions that people have for you.
Okay. So NaVi are currently sitting 5th in EU League, missing out on the mini major by a tie-break position. Like, we have the same points as the 4th. So on paper, we didn't do that bad. We didn't really have that a bad season. 5th, it's not the end of the world in a 10 team in a 10 team region. However, like, the thing that especially annoyed me, and I know it annoyed all of my teammates, is like, we know we could have done so much better, like unbelievably better. Like, we could have been, number 1, number 2. We don't want to settle for top 4. We want it to be higher than that. And like, that's the thing that is the most annoying about the system, is the whole draws and things like that. Like, granted, when you get a draw, you could have lost that game if it went to overtime as well, but you also could have won it, which could have changed the standings like dramatically for a lot of teams. And I first of all think that's one thing that needs to be changed in Europe, is an overtime system needs to be implemented if best of 3s aren't possible. So yeah. And what's going on in NaVi? I'm not sure. Like, it's very obvious. Panix has had a very rough season. I don't think he's trying to hide from that. I deny that. I'm not sure why. I guess he's just not feeling confident, or whatever in himself right now, and that's obviously impacted the team. I've not had the best of seasons. This is something I think Troy said earlier. Was my role is kind of the entry role right now, playing that Ashe a lot in attack, and I think the thing that I struggled with is trying to be that main fragger on the Ashe, and also realizing that Ashe is one of the most needed operators on attack during this meta.
It's different now, yes.
Like, if you die without using both of your Ashe charges and all of your flashbangs, what are you meant to do? Like, how are you meant to clear the 10 WMIs or the ADSs? You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible. So I think the thing this season, in Europe, that I've noticed, statistically speaking, I don't know about NA, I haven't checked, but a lot of the Ashe players and a lot of the main fragger players are actually near the bottom of the stat boards. Like, a lot of them, your joystick's down there, I'm down there, and near the top you have players like Bride, Kendrew, Shepard, who are all playing these hard support roles.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Maybe that's.
No, I'm the highest rated support player, and I'm still negative.
Yeah.
So,
well.
Yeah.
Oh well. Oh, I tried.
I think I am, but I see what you're saying though with the Ashe thing though, because I don't think I do think I've seen like a decline in like the Ashe players because they have to be safer. Like, you have to, you can't take as many risks because like if you die, like every piece of utility needs to be used right now, and if you don't use it, then or like if you lose it before you use it, I guess that rhymed.
And it's the same as Jaeger in defense. You can't just really sit in a corner anymore with your ADS. You're better off tricking them sometimes. You know? You're better off playing in those hard positions, like Consulate on Yellow Stairs, for example, or Cafe in the corner by Piano. Like it's a lot of places that need. Oh God, I just read the chat.
The UK peanut gallery is out of control, bro.
Yeah, they are on something.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, they could have been.
They're having a fucking hoot in their team speak, bro.
Yeah, they could have been a lot harsher. They could have been a lot harsher. I'll tell you that.
The best part is that when we and Pengu just hosted us, so brace for impact on this one. Can we get a hyper clap for Pengu then? There you go. Give it to him for the host. Thanks for the host, Pengu. Appreciate it. For the audio crowd, they're gonna be like, "The fuck." Not for my eyebrows, for Pengu. There you go, for Pengu. That's the one. He deserves it. Thank you, Pongo.
Oh wait, did I? Oh wow.
Peanut gallery, not penis gallery. Chat.
Not gonna lie. I didn't realize that the copy pasta that I have has for INTERRO's eyebrows.
You just didn't know that. You didn't.
I didn't realize
that. Had that as your copy pasta.
I thought it was just hyperclap. So I've been spamming hyperclap for INTERRO's eyebrows, but hey.
Sure.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Well, that's fine.
Oops.
It's for my eyebrows, which apparently have shrunk.
I mean, at least Penguins viewers get to experience your eyebrow problem now as well.
But I have noticed that in EU though with the support players. Why do you think? I don't know. I couldn't think of why.
I don't know. Like, I guess the support players are getting the frags that I can't. Does that make sense? I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just think, like, I'm not taking credit away from anybody, but Kendrew, especially on our team, has been putting in a lot of effort, like a lot of extra effort.
He's always fragged as a support, though, all the way back to Challenger League. He's been like that for ages.
Yeah. So, like, it's just a role that's very suiting to this meta, I guess, and he's shining in it right now.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, he deserves to get the credit because, sometimes in the past, Kendrew would play statistically really bad, and he would actually be really down on himself, being like, "Oh, I'm 2-7, I'm 1-8, or whatever." But I actually, like, he's putting a lot of impact in the game. Like, he's planted the bomb 3 times, he's opened every wall on attack. Like, he's not dying first, etc. So I'm happy that a lot of support players are getting the spotlight that they deserve this season, especially in Europe. As to why, like, I don't know. I guess it's just the meta is slower, so it's punishing fast paced players and rewarding slower players, I guess. So I mean, I don't know. Like, really, I don't know. I don't think you can run in the building with Ash anymore and try and get some kills. It's a waste.
No, there's just a shield looking at you.
I mean, United tries, and how does that work out?
Well, there's not usually Ash shield looking at you. It's more like 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's tough, man.
What do you think, Parker, as a quiet observer of the whole meta evolving? What do you think is the reason for that?
I mean, we've gone from everybody frags, 4 years ago, to, hey, let's make certain operators that are obviously very good at fragging, to, hey, let's make lots of operators that are good at fragging but now have really good kits as well. And then the more of those that we've made, it's gotten to the point where the original fraggers are now just too one-dimensional. Like, look at Glaz and Blackbeard are supposed to be like, they're operators designed from the ground up to kill shit, and they're not used because killing shit is possible with everybody else.
Yeah.
Kix and I talk about it a lot. We refer to it as a checklist. There's so much that teams need to do before they can even become remotely close to pulling off and execute. I mean, unless you're one of those teams that just sprints into the site and tries to go for a plant really quickly, which, I mean, I think you tried to do on the Coastline match against DZ, Troy, and it obviously got stopped. But it's just like
that was just me trolling, man. I thought I was baiting some shit out. Let's just say I was not.
Yeah, you got destroyed. I think that was almost a flawless round too. But no, it's there was back in the day when I first started casting. The first time I casted was Velvet Shell. And I mean, Jackal was designed to kill roamers because this game, if you go back and watch way back at the beginning, everybody just kind of sat turtled on the bomb site. And then slowly but surely teams started realizing, hey, we can roam and you can use gadgets in a certain way and you have good guns in a certain way and you can kill drones. And then next thing you know, like entry fragging becomes a thing because you need to catch those roamers. And so they respond by adding operators that are good at killing shit. While of course still operating or adding other utility operators and all that jazz. And I think the big culprit is it's the amount of bulletproof gadgets. I don't think you would need an Ash if you had more gadgets that could just be shot away at. You need to bring explosives. That's it. And if you keep adding gadgets that can be shot, and one of the things I said about Malusi's gadget was make it so that maybe she can throw it, but it can be shot with a gun instead of making it bulletproof. The one thing that I've kind of said is that right now, if you're not bringing explosives, you don't have any way to deal with the defense. And the defense is going to is always going to set the meta. The defense have always set the meta to a certain extent. The only time I would say we didn't see that was when Lion was in play. And then the defense had to structure their way around a horrendously broken gadget and how they played around it. But other than that, I don't know if Troy would agree, and I don't know if you'd agree, but I feel like defense have set the meta for almost every other season after that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually you're reacting to the defense.
Yeah.
On attack,
Which makes sense, right? Because like the defense don't really need to do anything. It's the attackers who need to accomplish the goal of defusing the bombs. So it's incumbent on the defense to structure up to set a structure and complete a system. And then the attackers need to deal with that. So it makes a lot of sense. And the defense will probably always end up setting the meta in this game. The problem is that the shields did not need to be reworked. This was the first domino, in my opinion, was reworking the deployable shields. They were fine the way they were. They really were. Yeah, maybe make it so they can snap to certain objects and into doorways so you don't play around those little pixel angles. Sure. But adding the slats to them, so unnecessary. And it totally changed the way that the game is played, because now they go from being, they're good in certain sites, they're usable, they're not required, to you need to bring a set amount of shields now because you can play behind them. You can play off them. They're utility denial. They're good for information. You know, they give you a big advantage on defense, and then they keep adding more and more bulletproof gadgets.
And you can't ban shields. You can ban Mira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't ban shields.
Exactly. And it's like now it seems like the go-to is, hey, we need a new gadget on defense. Okay, let's make it bulletproof. All right. And it's just like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Fewer bulletproof gadgets. If you made it so that an evil eye, maybe on the sides, like a bulletproof camera, or underneath, you could shoot it and pop it open and then shoot it again or something along those lines. Or you made it so that you could melee it 3 times and it would break. If you made it so that Melusi could throw her gadget, but you could then shoot it, you would see things totally change in regards to how teams are going to be attacking, and the amount of explosives that are required would drop dramatically, especially if you made a change to deployable shields. So I don't know. I think that it's fine, and I like the complexity that the game has right now. I just don't like that explosives are necessary. And Get Flank talked about it last night. Jaeger got banned, and we saw one of the most exciting maps we've seen in a long time. Why? Jaeger was banned. And I don't think that point should be lost on people.
Part of the problem too isn't even necessarily that explosives are necessary. It's that flashbangs are also necessary.
Yeah.
Because like you can't clear the ADSs and WMIs without the flashbangs. Because like clearing them with a Zo stun, like that doesn't even work anymore. Like half the fucking time it's gonna stun someone before it goes through, and then like your whole round is fucked up. Like, yeah, you need the combination of both. And Ash is the only operator in the game that brings both. So if you think about it, when you're going to need to, like, because we're only going to have to bring more with Melusi.
Yeah.
Sadly, you're only going to have to bring more explosives. Like, fitting in the explosives, it doesn't work because, like, currently, like, Ash is always run right now if she's up. If she's banned, she's a super strong ban now, too.
Yeah.
Like, she's a crazy strong ban now, just because, like, now you don't have someone that has both flashbangs and explosives. She's already in the lineup. If you want to make room for someone with more explosives on your lineup, you literally have to like drop flashbangs at this point, or smokes if you're bringing them. But like, I mean, it depends. It depends on if you're bringing like regular smokes or not. If you're bringing Cap smokes, and he already has flashbangs, and that's part of why Cap is so good, because he brings smokes and flashbangs.
Yeah. And if you ban Wamai, Capitao goes back to being bonkers strong.
Yes.
Which some teams have done. We saw Wamai ban yesterday, for example. You know,
Wamai ban is fun. When people ban Wamai, or if we ban Wamai, like, it is refreshing Siege.
Yeah.
Wamai
BDS did that a lot this whole year of season.
Yeah.
And the thing. Sorry, go on.
No, continue. I was just going to say it's their permaban, right?
Yeah. The thing I wanted to say is, like, with the introduction of Melusi, this is gonna get 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Because, like, if teams think Melusi is too strong, which she is right now.
She has three bulletproof gadgets.
Yeah. So first of all, let's just address that problem first. Okay, let's say, I don't want to play against Melusi. You ban Melusi. So then the defensive lineup consists of Wamai, Jaeger, Mira, Maestro, and Echo.
And Valkyrie. And that's another problem, is that if you want to deal with Echo or Valkyrie, you have to bring IQ, and IQ doesn't fucking throw anything. She's got a fucking pistol, and that's it.
Yeah.
Jeez, what are you talking about? You could throw the Claymore.
Bro.
You imagine she throws
you gotta
throws the breaches like frisbees.
You got to give her something. Give her some flashbangs.
What if you gave? Hold on a second.
Claymores, breaches. It's
what if they gave IQ nades? I feel
Or-
like that would really
yes.
complement her kit.
Well, she used to, yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, that's the fucking joke, Doki.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it now.
I sense the sarcasm. Yeah.
But then again,
But I think flashbangs would be better.
yeah,
I think she's too strong because the G8 right now, right? So you don't want to. She's too strong in fragging power, and if you give her grenades, I think then she becomes a G8 angled grip with frag grenades. She's going to be picked every round.
I mean,
I don't like the G8. I think that gun's shit. Like, I see this everywhere on NA.
You're
Everyone's
insane.
like, oh, the G8 is so good. The G8 is so good. Like,
G8's broken, bro.
They need the
Commands,
pools, like
the
I talked about, where
5.52
anybody can bring frags, but
the 5.52 on IQ is way better. Like, I'm sorry, you can't. There's just no argument there. It's way better gun.
a lot of people are saying take her G8 away, blah blah blah. They're never going to take guns off of operators, so people need to stop saying that. Like, yeah, they took a pistol off of Castle, but it was the pistol that nobody used, and they replaced it with something.
I want that pistol back, bro. I really liked it.
Nobody is gonna. Yeah, well, you're like the only human. Anyway, they're never gonna take a gun off of an operator, and I'd imagine that the reason for that is mostly legal issues. People are gonna pay money to buy skins for operators, and then they lose them. Like, I'd be pissed. But
Like, what if?
I would take the angled grip off of her G8. That's fine. Do that. Leave the angled grip on Amaru. Make it so that it's unique in that regard. Like, make that part of her identity. You know, why does Amaru get it? Because she's going to, you know, repel in and just, her gun's up. There you go. There she gets the angle grip. Take the angle grip off of IQ's G8 and then things are more balanced. But what was I going to say? What do we think about a possible temporary solution? Because right now, there has been a frustrating amount of silence from Ubisoft in regards to balancing, and I would suspect that it's because everybody's working from home. And I think there needs to be a little bit of patience from people. What do we think about them moving up to 3 operator bands per side?
We need more bands, man.
Yeah, we need more.
It's got to be up, bro.
So
it'll be so refreshing because, like, with 3 bands, like some games you're gonna have like Malusi, Wamai, and Echo Band, and like that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Trust me, like that'll be a fun game to watch.
If you give a team, like, as a temporary solution, you give a team, let's say, 1 attack ban, 1 defense ban, and then 1 other ban on attack or defense.
Yeah,
that might be something that they could play about with. So you might have more attackers banned one map than defenders. You know, that's not a problem if more attackers are banned than defenders.
I say get rid of limits altogether. If they want to ban, just ban 6 operators. Who gives a shit? If it's 5 defenders, who cares? You know, like
that seems kind of fucking whack.
Yeah, but how fun would that be?
But it could be interesting, but it might be a bit too ridiculous.
Well, with the protect option is what I'd originally posted way back was that you ban 1 and then they ban 1. It can be anybody. And then after those first 2 operators are banned, you can protect 1 attacker or 1 defender on either side. Like, so you can, like, let's say, you know, first 2 bans are Wamai and Echo. You're like, oh shit, I don't want another defender to be banned. We need a Maestro. Let's protect him, or Valkyrie or something like that. And then another team protects Thatcher. And then the next 4 bans can be whatever as well. I know it gets confusing and you have to prepare for it, and it can be cumbersome from a UI perspective because now you've got every operator on the screen that you need to ban. But it's just, I don't know. I like the idea of being able to ban whatever you want, because you probably will have matches where there could be 5 defenders banned. And I think that would be I think that would be really nice to watch as how teams play off of that. And especially on certain maps, imagine Villa with 5 defenders banned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or imagine Villa where, you know, all 4 hard breachers are banned. Never going to happen, but it could. And that would be a shitty map to watch, but it would be fascinating.
Like, the thing that I suggested with, like, banning the 2 attackers, 2 defenders, 1 attacker, 1 defender, and then having this open ban between attack and defense, that can also force, you can actually calculate the ban phase then, and you can really think about what you want to do. Like, imagine if, like, let's say a team forces an Ash ban, like, or they ban Ash, and then you realize, oh shit, like, Jaeger and Wamai are both going to be up here, and without Ash, that's going to be actually difficult to deal with, like especially on a map like Cafe. So then you might be a bit forced into banning Jaeger or Wamai. You know, like, there's some stuff you can do with that, and I think that is a good temporary solution to add more bans. The other one that I was thinking of, actually something you said earlier, is if you make these bulletproof devices not actually bulletproof, but like more so bullet resistant.
Yeah.
And maybe they took 2 mags to destroy a Malusi device, or 1 mag, or like 40 bullets or whatever. Then you lowered the ammo count down on some of these operators. that would actually make sure you're reserving a little bit. Like, I'm going to shoot the Melusi out. It's going to take 30 seconds, but I'm going to shoot it out and waste half my ammo capacity. So I'm not going to have enough ammo left to take the gunfights. I think that actually would be interesting.
Well,
and that's something that you
could...
some
motherfuckers, bro.
Yeah, but that'd be actually pretty good. That would be pretty good.
Damn mag dumpers.
This was something that Fresh had talked about, and we actually discussed this topic before we went live, was the amount of ammo that's in the game. I mean, you think back, when did they buff it? It was around Operation Health, wasn't it? When they buffed the ammo count? I remember the early days.
I can't remember.
I think it was around Operation Health. I remember the early days where Glaz and Blackbeard's DMR had like 24 bullets, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had. The SMG-11 had like 80 bullets.
So like guns like that, it was different though. But like at the end of the day, like on like Jaeger or Ash and stuff like those are the ones where it's really a problem. I mean, it's still a problem in general.
Yeah.
But like those guns like have always had a fuck ton of ammo. And it shouldn't be a thing. There's too much. There's too much ammo, man.
Yeah,
like,
I think they need to reduce
They pre-fire
ammo.
everything, bro. If you like, I literally joke about it. Like, if you watch Hyper in a clutch, bro, especially when he's on defense and he's retaking, bro, he literally pre-fires every fucking angle in the game. Every angle in the game. The guy does not stop pre-firing. And I mean, like, it's good. Like, there's no denying Hyper's like good in a clutch, and that's part of it. Like, because like pre-firing is so strong. And it's just like I don't know, you just fucking let it rip.
Yeah.
And there's no punishment.
There's no punishment at all. When have
there's
you
no
ever
reason why
run out of
defense
ammo?
needs that many bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
There's zero reason why they need that many bullets.
I ran out of ammo once on accident in a pro league game. It was against LG, and I think we were defending Cash, and I was in Cash as Jaeger, and I think there was a buck below me in stock, and I literally I was spamming the floor the whole round, and then like the final execute's coming in, and I go, oh shit, I only have like 20 bullets. I couldn't reload anymore. I was like, all right, fuck. Hope I hold them off. Like, it was a struggle, but yeah, that doesn't usually ever happen.
I mean, that's one of the big complaints about Maestro, is that when there's 10 seconds left, he can just hold down mouse 1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody says, like, reduce the ammunition that it has. One of the biggest balancing notes for the Alda is to make it like 40 or 50 bullets, which I fully support. I still think that gun is way too strong. You know, do I agree that they took the ACOG away? Yeah, I don't think it needs an ACOG. I still think it was really strong with the ACOG. I think you've changed it to more of a long-range gun, but it's got minimal recoil, and people just run 4x3 now, and they're basically back at square one.
More of a short-range gun?
Yeah, I mean, it should be more short-range. I think it's still just as long-range. I mean, we still see very long-range kills with it.
No, we do, but I wouldn't say
it's not the same. It's not the same, but it's still it's not as short range as I think they'd hoped it to be, and I don't think it fixed the issue. And I disagree with a lot of people where I think taking ACOGs off of certain guns is fine. Maybe not from a balancing perspective outright, but at least from like a theoretical standpoint, because I think that having an ACOG on certain guns is a subtle way of instructing players how to use that gun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Maestro should be played in a way where he can take such long-range engagements with the Alda. I don't. I think that's a bad way to use the operator, and taking the ACOG off makes him less flexible, sure, but it makes him more of an anchor. The problem is that now all you've done is you've made him a greater menace in the final 10 seconds of a match or a round. And I think that they need to fix it by taking away a whole whack of his ammo. Like, make it so that he has 50 bullets in his gun. There you go. Like,
give him iron sights only.
Yeah.
That'll slow him down.
Okay. You're a maniac. Nobody's playing Iron Sights Maestro. That thing is...
That'd be interesting, bro. Like, if you really wanted to take away the long-range gunfights, take away all the sights.
85% of the guns in the game are utterly unusable with Iron Sights.
Well aware.
Well aware. Well aware. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, but, I mean... That's not a solution.
No, not really. Not really.
Not a solution.
They shouldn't do that. But he definitely has way more ammo than he should. I mean, in his clip. But in general, like the reserve ammo on other guns is the problem. Like,
yep.
I don't know. Like the Maestro one, sure. Yeah, he could like 50 bullets in a mag. Like what? Like he's not really missing those other 30.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. The reserve ammo is a problem. Like. It's just there's too many ashes, bro, that you watch and they literally pre-fire everything. And the thing is that they have no fear either. Like it's not like Like, you know where he is on the map, but it's not like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I know the Ash is there and he's pre-firing every corner. Let me peek him. Like, what? That's the dumbest shit you could ever do. Like, it literally does. It's literally like a fucking, like a war cry, bro. It's like, Ash is here. You better not fucking peek, motherfucker. Like, and like, no one's going to peek you.
Nice.
So we are in agreement with a couple things. Number one, the reason why the fraggers are not doing so well is because fragging operators don't really exist anymore. Everybody is a utility operator in this meta. Number two, there needs to be more bans. Absolutely. And immediately. Number three, fewer bulletproof gadgets. And number four, less bullets for every gun.
I'm in agreement with that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Agreed.
So with that said, I think it's time for us to turn to the final segment of the show, which is questions for Doki. So we field questions. It opens up on Saturday, the day before the show goes live. In the Discord, we'll spam the Discord link for you just so you can join in. Now, I will say at this moment, you can submit questions to Doki. It's unlikely they'll be asked because I've already picked a couple out. But if you're not in here, here's the link. There's the link for everybody spammed for you to click and join. Stay in it if you want to know when the show goes live and all that jazz. There's the Discord link. I'll also make sure that there's one posted in the YouTube video. For those of you that are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you kind of have to come to the YouTube video, unfortunately, to see it. So this was one that was actually asked by a number of people, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. I saw it a couple times. Do the short jokes actually bother you?
No, not at all. Okay. I don't care. I mean, well, no, of course not. I'm small. Whip-de-woo. Yeah. I don't fucking care. Nothing I can do about it.
With the sense of humor you have too, like, I'd imagine you wouldn't. Like, you.
No, I don't care.
Like, you like banter. Like, I mean, that's part of it. Like,
the NaVi YouTube guy, dude, he DM'd me like a couple months ago, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, if I'm not trying to bully you with these short jokes, so if you ever find them offensive, please tell me." I'm like, "No, man, don't worry about it. It's okay. Yeah. Like, go wild, go wild." So yeah, no, they don't, not at all.
Good.
Same thing happened to me the other day with the NA esports account was like INTERRO, but it's cake. And I just responded being like, that would explain the diabetes. Because they're going off the everything is cake meme. And then somebody DM me being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Is it offensive? Like, we didn't mean to make fun of your like disability. And I'm like, dude. I was like, this is hilarious. I was like, don't get rid of it. I was like, I'm not going to get upset by it.
You guys don't know when Parker first found out he got diagnosed with diabetes, when he DM'd me, like, he said it and then he's like, you won the brunch war. Like I was literally like in this, like, I didn't even have time to be like, damn, that sucks. Like, it was literally just instantly into that. And I was like, yeah, fuck you. I won. Like,
the UK community have invaded your Discord as well. What a shame.
Oh God.
What a shame.
Yeah, also, the other thing about the UK community is how come whenever there's somebody who's like overtly toxic in my mentions, it's always some like the profile on Twitter is always the same. It's like 15/UK/ diamond emoji times 18/ go for champ times 21/ yep. And it's just like, why are they, and it's like Xbox, and it's like, why is it always some like 15-year-old like go for champ diamond Xbox or PlayStation child that is attacking me? It's always like some UK console kid that is just like 15 years old that is just off the shits. And yeah. I can bet money on it because it happens every time. Every time it's always some UK teenager on console, just like, just do it. And I'm like, I don't know, what do they have in the wall? What do they have over there? What are they feeding you that this happens?
They love the Go Force. They love the Go Force.
I don't get it, dude. I don't understand it. It's so weird. Anyway, but yeah, I remember tweeting you, or I remember messaging you that being like, I just wanted to let you know, like, I was like, I got diabetes. You've won the brunch war. It was at that moment where I was like, the brunch watch is over. Like, the watch has ended. Troy has won.
Yes.
So, but, do you happen to have a question, by the way? I just wanted to
Yeah, there
wanted to
was
go off
one I
this.
wanted to ask.
And I get, by the way, I get that the UK has done this, but it's like if you're gonna spam the channel, you're gonna get kicked from the Discord. Like I get it, but it's like we need to keep this clean so that we can go back and refer to questions. Don't ruin it. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, you little shits.
All right, your
I was
question.
gonna ask. So Redshift asked us. He said, for underage players, what is the best way to gain competitive experience, including CCS? I want to ask this because I'm more familiar with it in NA, but I have no idea about the underage scene in EU, so I'm kind of curious. And I mean, you used to be a part of it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think there is much, if anything,
No.
at all for underage players in EU. I know that there is some like weekend leagues or like smaller tournaments that don't necessarily have a prize pool or leading anywhere that host like underage tournament, but the skill gap in those leagues is going to be so huge because you're going to have one underage team that's just dominating them, and then the rest of them are going to be like golds. You know, it's not a tournament. There's no bragging rights there, so
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything for underage players. I think that there should be perhaps a league that can help underage players develop the scene, maybe show off their talent a little bit, which can then maybe help bigger teams pick them up when they become of age. But the whole changing the age limit argument to below 18 for like pro league and stuff, I don't agree with whatsoever, because I think this is a job that we have. It's not just us playing pro league for our hobby. I think lowering that down, you're going to have a lot more unexperienced and immature players, which is not what the scene needs right now. It's exactly not what the scene. And I do feel sorry for those underage players who are mature and who are, trying to prove themselves. But it's, we've all been there. I've been there. I waited 3 years. Why shouldn't you? It's one of those things, like legal arguments or not, you still shouldn't be allowed to play in a league that is for older people. It's how it is. Some kid that's still doing his exams at school, I don't think should be focusing on trying to win invitational. It's, I don't know. Am I wrong? Do you think I'm wrong, or?
No, I think that makes sense. I haven't really talked about that too much because I don't know. I mean, like I've seen people discuss it. I haven't really jumped in or anything. I've always felt kind of indifferent, but like you saying that, like I think it makes a lot of sense to me. People should be focused on just their school at the time or whatever, and then like I do think it's important that there is like somewhat of an underage scene, so that because I think one of the biggest problems for like a lot of the upcoming like underage or young talents is that they don't have experience playing in a team, like an actual team. So like getting that underage scene developed a bit just so they can get some more experience playing within the team. I will say if it's a full team of underagers, like there's a solid chance that like the team's not going to have like the exact structure, but like at least it helps along the way, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I don't think the age gap or the age restriction needs to be lowered or anything like that. I do think there's some exceptions. Like I've met plenty of like really young players that are like they're like 17, but like they are actually pretty mature. Like
for sure,
and they would do fine on a team. But then there's also ones that have fucking turned 18 now that are still some like the most immature people I've ever met, and they shouldn't be on a competitive team until they grow up.
Dude, there's like 20-year-olds that are in the competitive scene right now that still act like they're 14 years old. Like,
yeah. That's a dig at me right there.
No.
I thought you were gonna drop the afterwards. I thought you were gonna say like they act like they're 14 and look like they're 14. And then I thought you were gonna look at me in the eyes, and I was gonna be like, "Shame on you."
I mean, I'd have to stoop pretty low to look you in the eyes, to be fair.
There it is.
So
there it is.
I think that the age thing is fine. It's a question that comes up a lot. It's actually one of the most asked questions that I get when I'm streaming, and is one of the most often DM'd questions to me. Is I'm 14, I'm 15, I want to go pro. Do you think I should? And it's a tough one because my position has always been consistent. The likelihood that you're going to go pro, unless you are already a superstar, is really low. I'm not going to discourage people from chasing their dreams. Cause I mean, I did. I literally gave up on school and moved to another continent to do this. Even though casting wasn't necessarily my dream, it was at least an opportunity that I took at the time. And it has now definitely become my dream, I guess, or reality, whatever you want to call it. But it's a tough spot to be in. And I do think that focusing on schooling is really crucial. We talked about this on a podcast previously where it's like, I genuinely fear for 60 to 80% of the people that are currently in competitive Rainbow Six, because if this league disappeared tomorrow, they would be in so much trouble in regards to what they do next. You know, I know a lot of them that it's like, when you turn 18 in North America, at least, you're usually in your last year of high school right before then. And if you're turning 18 and going pro right away, you've likely been playing competitively since you were 16, which oftentimes is grade 10, grade 11. Are you shortchanging your studies? Maybe you just limp your way through high school and then you graduate, you get your degree and you're like, hooray. And then you go pro, but that your grades were nowhere near good enough to get you into college or university. You don't want to go into the trades, etc. You have nothing to fall back on. And there's a lot of players that are like this. There are a lot of players who, some of them didn't even graduate high school. Maybe they play competitive for 2-3 years. They make a couple tens of thousands of G's. Cool. But they've still got 50 to 60, 70 more years of their life to live. And they have nothing to fall back on. And my recommendation is always make sure that you diversify what you do so that if you're not in esports, you still have a passion or something to fall back on. You don't need to go to university. You don't need to go to college, but at least ensure that if you're not in professional esports, you know what the fuck you want to do. Maybe you want to go into business. Maybe you want to become a bartender. Maybe you want to become a welder. Who knows? At least have something in mind as a fallback. So I don't think that lowering the age restriction would be too much of an issue. I don't think it would cause people to disrupt their lives. I think it definitely increase the talent pool, but I'm very wary of young kids getting taken advantage of by organizations, by companies. It happens in traditional sports. It would obviously happen in esports. We already have enough shitty orgs and shitty contracts for legal adults in esports that I think it would get even hairier with 16-year-olds where parents would be, helping, and parents don't know anything about this esport. They don't know anything about the business, etc. So if they lowered the age limit, it wouldn't bother me. It's not something I care about one way or another. If I was forced to make a decision, keep it as is or lower it, my vote would be keep it as is. But the greater conversation that needs to happen is, regardless of what the age limit is, the people who are playing in it, what's their priority and what's their focus? And my focus would be on set your life up. If your life allows you to also take kind of a detour and play esports, cool. If it doesn't, you've got more important years ahead of you. Maybe focus on those instead.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good thing to say is if you see an opportunity, then, run at it, take the opportunity, but make sure that you have something when that opportunity fails. Not if that opportunity fails, because it will fail eventually. Everything will have its lifespan, especially a career in esports. I'm not planning to be doing this for 20 years. But I mean, if I can do it for 20 years, that'll be fucking fantastic. That'll be phenomenal. However, it's a chance that won't happen. So obviously I have stuff in place where I want to go there after and stuff. So
all right, let's keep going through these these questions here. This one's a good one from Sophie Alexandra. Pretty simple question. What was the hardest part about being back in the pro scene after the ban?
This is an easy one. The amount of pressure that I had on me to actually perform and not be a fucking bot is honestly unbelievable. Like, first game back in the pro scene, I was playing against G2. Not only was it G2, but it was against my former teammate with Citizen in that game. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, fuck me, man. Like, what am I? Like,
show up.
That's a tough game. Imagine if I just get slammed by him. Yes. That'll be bad. Fortunately, I slammed him. But
you did.
But then he got his payback this season, I guess. On me, at least. Feels bad. But yeah, definitely the pressure to perform is far by the toughest thing that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
And the way I did overcome that was just believing in myself. To be honest, like I knew I had what it takes to beat whoever. I just believed in myself and didn't let it get to my head and hoped for the best. It seemed to work. So yep.
That'd be a unique kind of pressure, I will say. Like, I never really thought of it like that, but like that, yeah. I mean, I never thought of that match like that, but yeah, like coming back, there would have been a lot of pressure on you for sure. And then, yeah, not to mention you're playing G2 and Citizen just joined the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was a good match
Right.
too. So that was
Yeah,
my
it was
question.
good.
You have one, Troy?
yeah. I found another. This is one I'm curious in as well. Just what was your role on the team whilst you were benched for the 6-month duration? So I mean, like I know you were involved with the team, but I'm kind of curious as to what you were actually doing more often.
We had Gig in as a coach, and then we won Japan with Gig as a coach. After Japan, we decided to part ways with Gig for different reasons, I guess. And in that period, I kind of took his role of supporting and not so much coaching, but just supporting where I could the team. It was a bit up and down. I would sometimes do a lot more work than other times. But I went to the boot camps with them. I prepared some strats. I helped out with the strats meetings. I watched the VODs. I see where sometimes where we went wrong. I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't sit there for hours like our current coaches do and watch the VODs of play by play. I didn't do that. That would bore me to death. But I was there like kind of supporting and stuff. Just this kind of sixth opinion to put his word in, get stuff like that. I mean, not so much anything special.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. I was just curious on that, but yeah, that sounds about right. Because I mean, like, it wasn't your job to coach, but like, yeah, you were chipping in how you could. And like, yeah, the full coaching thing, it's not for everyone, for sure. So
yeah, like I always said this actually. To be a good coach, you want to need to coach, and not play.
Yeah.
Like there has been so many players who have been like, oh, I'll coach. But no, you just want to coach until you can play again.
They're just
that's
stealing
not
checks.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
so
that's a very good point.
Yeah, if you want to coach, that's because you actually want to help that team improve and coach. Like
no, you have to genuinely believe like that is your best contribution to the team. What you're doing as the coach.
Like we picked up another coach called Draz right now. He's kind of more of a day-to-day type of guy that helps us. And he said to us about a month ago now, he says like, I will be in this team until I have helped you achieve your goals. I'm not going to overstay his welcome is the kind of way he said it. Like, if I am going to end up being useless in this team and not helping you guys because I've taught you everything I know, then he will move on. That's what he said, which is that's a pretty mature way to look at things, because that's a job for him as well. But if he honestly feels that he will be useless in the position where he won't be helping us anymore, then he said like he will. That's when he will move on. So it's a cool way to actually look at it.
Yeah.
This is a question that's been asked by a couple people, and it's one that obviously feel free to dive into, and be as emotional about it as you want, or as little as you want. But what did it feel like when you saw NaVi win the championship? A lot of people asking, how did it feel without you? How was it as a spectator? Was it bittersweet, etc.?
Oh boy, I really remember this because first of all, I was gonna go to Japan with them, but I was gonna pay my own way. I couldn't expect NaVi or anything to pay for a ticket to me to go to Japan, right? That doesn't make sense. So I was gonna pay my own way to go to Japan, which was very expensive, by the way. It was like $2,000 or something for it was really, really dear at the time. So I was gonna go and I was gonna sit there and like cheer them on and stuff like that. But then I was kind of like, you know what, that might be like one of the worst ideas ever. Like if that happened, like there might not be any help. It might just be horrible for me. thankfully I didn't go, because I remember watching it online, and I was messaging the guys on WhatsApp when they won, saying like, "Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go," and like I was really emotional, like I was crying and stuff, like obviously, but it was kind of weird because I couldn't tell if it was like tears of joy or like tears of fuck, like that could have been me,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, again, so it was really weird emotion, because I remember, and I went down the stairs to my mum. Oh boy, fuck! I can't believe I'm saying this. I went down the stairs to my mum, who was like lying on the couch. I was like, "Mum, we won Japan," and then I was like, "You fucking won Japan, man!" And I started crying, and I was like, "Fuck!" So like, so it was like a, I'm not going to say horrible emotion, but there's definitely two different takes onto it, you know? Like, I was happy for them because they are my team, and I was also very sad because that could have been me, you know?
Yeah.
What would you have done, Troy?
I don't fucking know, man. I feel like I would have been in the same boat as you. I don't know if no, I would have watched. That's such a weird like situation to imagine myself in, right? It's like that's so abnormal. Like being on it, like you're on the team, but you're waiting on the team. You know, like that's weird. It's not a normal situation. Like, because the only like it would literally have to be for me to get banned to do that, right? Like, because I wouldn't take like a sub spot ever or something like that.
No. Yeah, but that's different. Like a sub isn't
No,
gonna
I
go.
know.
Like,
That's
a
true.
sub
That's
isn't
true.
gonna feel the
And I
emotions.
don't know. It's such a unique situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it would be similar to you.
It's an experience. I'll tell you that.
I mean, like I'd be happy for the guys. Like, well, especially like if it's a team that I've been on for a while. Like my current team or like my EG team. Like if it happened in those situations, like I would have been happy. Like my teammates are really good friends, but yeah, tears of fuck.
Yeah, tears of fuck.
Who doesn't know tears of fuck?
That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Tears of fuck. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Moods in chat just said it must have been like when Mag watched Fnatic 2-0 EG. I mean, obviously different because one's the championship up against the first round, the quarter is totally different, but it's still like, it must be hard, right? Like hard to see, you know, great to see your teammates succeed, but hard to know that you weren't
knowing you could have been there.
Yeah. Like, knowing that you could have been there, but also that you didn't really contribute in the same way.
The other thing that starts to play at your mind, I remember actually, especially near the end of my ban coming up, that's something that really got to me as well. I was like, you know, do the team need me?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. They have won without me. Why do they need me? You know,
that was something I thought like the whole time was like,
I
mean, like they win here, like what do they really think?
Yeah,
you know, and like you couldn't even blame them if they did think like, okay, we keep this roster. Like you couldn't even blame them if they think that. It'd just be like, well, yeah, like you guys won.
Like it was risk getting me back in the team for sure, because I could have been a complete bot, washed up out of the scene, not scrimmed in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Like, I think I've had a good impact joining back in the team. I can only speak for myself and what my teammates have told me. Again, like I said, I'm not having the best season right now. I'm at -6 or something. Like it's not awful, but it's not good for me. Like I'm definitely not happy with that whatsoever. So I'm just hoping I can improve again and keep improving and not let the boys down. And hopefully we'll win something with me in the rest of this time. That would be good.
Someone, what's his name? Man's a rat. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be said. But man's a rat said in chat as a comparison. It's like watching all your friends get married and you're always the best man. Like
always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah. Feels bad. Yeah. Well, that must suck as well.
I mean, think about how many weddings you go to, though. That's pretty poggers, right? That's what they say. But
oh dear,
pretty poggers.
Pretty poggers.
Please never say that again.
I said it for the kids. They're the ones that speak like that, not me. All right.
Oh yeah.
Another question that was asked by I saw once or twice, and it's been asked a couple times here in the chat was, Was there ever, and it touches on what you just talked about, was there ever a time where you seriously thought that you weren't going to be brought back? That they were going to stay with Pi, because there were a number of issues with Pi from people who kept their ear to the ground. They would have picked somebody else up. Was there ever any serious concern? And if so, when was it at its highest?
Like honestly speaking, now I didn't think I would ever join back the roster. Like, not a million years. I always hoped to, and I always aimed to, but it didn't make sense for me. Like at the time, like I didn't value myself as highly as maybe my teammates valued me, which is kind of a bad thing actually. I should have, but I thought, like, I'm a good player, but at the end of the day, they could probably get a more experienced player in who has had 6 months of play. Like we were playing for NaVi. It's not as if you couldn't get another player. A huge organization, you could get anybody you wanted, realistically speaking. So yeah, I didn't think I was going to get back in the team, and that kind of played pretty heavily on the mental side of things, because then I had to be like, okay, 6 months comes, so Doki, you're unbanned. Sorry to say, Doki, you're not getting back on the team. What do I do then? Tears of fuck begin to happen. Begin to happen again.
And tears of fuck can't escape them,
dude. They just keep coming back.
You keep coming back. So yeah. But I'm happy I'm back on it. And again, that's up to my teammates and management. I gotta thank there. Couldn't do it without you boys. Mwah.
You have a question, Mr. Charo? Sloths?
I'm trying to decide, man. I'm bad with this, bro. I'm so picky. There's one I'll ask. It's up to you if you want to answer this or not, because not everyone likes to answer these types of questions. Let me scroll back up, make sure I get it. Where is it? Oh, no, I'm not finding it. Okay, basically the question, I wanted to read it exactly, but I know what it was. Basically the question is, like, I've previously mentioned on episodes, like, about how different some teams are in scrims. It's not always the case. Like, some teams are the same or whatever, or some teams are better in matches. But he was basically curious, like, if there was, like, ever a team in scrims that, like, you're, like, out of nowhere, like, you started scrimming them and, like, they were nasty, like, and you were ever concerned. Because, like, that was, like, a thing that I mentioned, like, with Tempo Storm, is that coming into this season, Tempo Storm was, like, the best team we scrimmed. We did think in the back of our minds, we're like, it could just be a scrim thing the whole time. It turns out it was. But, like, has there ever been, like, a case like that in Europe where, like, this team might be frying, but then they show up match day and they're not?
What position are Temple Storm right now in any league?
They finished 6th.
They finished 6th, but
it was not an impressive 6th.
They lost 2-0 to Mirage, but I mean, that they could have just not tried. We don't know. I think the VOD is out now. I can't remember. It wasn't live. It was recorded.
Funny, because I would say the two teams that perform the best in scrims are both Chaos and Team Secret, who are currently sitting at the bottom at 9th and 10th place. Or wait, maybe one is 10th. I don't know. Anyways, they're at the bottom, and I'm not trying to flame those teams at all in any way. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, oh, you guys, shit, you can't turn up on game day. But they do perform way better, in my opinion, in scrims, and I think that's a lot to do with the pressure playing on them, like, big time. And I think, even we have crumbled under pressure sometimes, especially this season. Like, past games where we played Virtus Pro and when we played Rogue, there was nothing we could do. We just got slammed, we crumbled. And I really think that affects teams like Chaos and Team Secret, because they, I think, have the balls to do very, very ballsy things in scrims. Some things that may come across as stupid, however, in a good sense, like, if they work, like crouching around the map sometimes works. Crouching in without a drone, you're going to get lucky. But I don't think they can do that in a real game, and I don't think they can have the mentality to do that in a real game, and that's why I think they're struggling right now. Like, I fucking hate Scrimming Chaos because they just slam me. Like, they have very good players, individually skilled, like Cryin, Vitoline, Shate, like Renuels, they're banging me off the game, like, constantly in scrims. I'm like, or whatever. And then it comes to game day, And we drew to Chaos this season, so maybe it's a bad example. However, like overall, they have played worse against majority of teams than I would say they should have if they were going off the Scrim records.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they probably even notice it as well. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a thing. I definitely notice it. Yeah.
That's one that Chaos. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know as much about Secret, but like the way Chaos plays the game, like it doesn't surprise me that it's like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just the way they play.
Honestly, Chaos is such a weird team. One of the greatest struggles when I casted EU was trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with Chaos, because they'd have seasons where they look so good and then they would just destroy good teams, and then they would just annihilate themselves like the next day.
Like,
yeah,
it's just like, what is going on with this team? Like, you look so good some matches, then other matches you just look like you don't know how to play the game, and it's like, what is?
It's just like, when you try to play like that way, like they're committed to like playing that kind of style of Siege.
Yeah,
like they take risks that leave openings for like those moments where it's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, that just happens. Like, someone's gonna be way out of position and it's gonna fuck over your whole round just because like that's the risk you take when like you spawn in and you say like this guy can just go lurk by himself and crouch around the map, right? Like that's a risk you take. Like that guy he's not gonna be with the team. Or like he solid chance he just dies with all his utility. Like it's just something you have to deal with.
Chaos I know more about than Team Secret because I know Secretly pretty well. We've been playing a lot recently. And I think Chaos losing Secretly was huge. Like, again, I'm not 100% sure if he was kicked or if he left. But the fact that he isn't on that team anymore is like, I don't think he was the problem there whatsoever. I think he was one of, if not the core player of that team. And him losing him, like, yeah, he had a bad season, the season that he was lost, but I don't think he was playing a role he's very comfortable in. And losing that kind of core IGL leader of that team is just and then replacing him with an entry fragger who doesn't lead in crying is crazy. It's a crazy change. I don't think that is. I don't think that was wise. Yeah. But like the one thing I will say is Chaos are a scary team to play. Like they are the team I do not want to play. Like I really do not want to play them. Like I would rather take G2 or Rogue any day of the week than play them because they do play the unpredictable factor, that weird play style, which works for them sometimes, doesn't work for them other times. But I don't want to take that chance on a game day, What Chaos are we going to play today?
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
No, they're it's one of those teams, like no one wants to play them. I mean, there's probably some teams that like are comfortable with their style. It's probably more rare though. But like, yeah, you don't want to play against them because you can't really account for everything. And they very well, like if they're having a good day, there's just a good chance that they might beat you because they have individual players and they're making all these plays, and if they're hitting their shots, like
exactly,
what can you do?
Yeah.
I always imagined that Secretly and Renewals would be on that team until its death. I never thought that either of them would leave. And Secretly to me was, he was probably the person I associated Chaos with the most. And I was kind of surprised to see him go. Like I said, I don't know the exact circumstances, just as you said, whether he left or whether he was benched. I don't know them either. But I was surprised. I don't know. The team has been so inconsistent, and I always felt badly casting them. And the only time I will cast them in the future is if they make it to a major, which they haven't done yet. So I don't know if that's going to be something that I ever have to confront. But I always felt badly casting them because it was so challenging to try and pinpoint their strengths, because some matches they'd be really good individually, as you said, and then other matches they'd have a couple real miserable performances, but somebody would get hot. Or other matches, it's just like they'd look lost, but they'd have a good round here or there, and you'd be like, okay, they seem to be figuring it out, and then they just wouldn't. And I don't know, Chaos was easily one of the most challenging and frustrating teams to cast because you couldn't rely on anything going in. They'd play Coastline and they would just annihilate a team. And then they'd go back to Coastline the next week or the next play day or whatever, and they'd get slaughtered like 7-1.
Mhm.
And it's just like, the fuck happened? And it's like it's not even that their opponents would play well. It's that they would just do weird things, or they wouldn't do the same strats, or maybe they'd be trying something and it'd be like, this looks like two separate teams. I don't get it. And I always felt like I was being really harsh on them, because it's like, I like them. Like I like Shate a lot. I like Secretly a lot. I don't really know the rest of the guys on the team, to be fair. But it's like, I want them to succeed, because for so long they've kind of toiled. They've been good enough to be average. And we've seen
they're always there.
They're always there. And in Europe, it's like every single team was average for like a couple seasons, and then they became elite. And it seems like, with the exception of like G2 always being on the top, there's always been one team that's kind of cycled through. And I'm like, now it's Chaos's turn. Now it's Chaos's turn. And it never has been. So
like they're sitting 10th right now.
Yeah.
Whether they will sit 10th next split is a different story. I don't want to see them get relegated. Well, actually, I do, because I don't like playing against them. But I know the guys well on that team. I don't want them to get relegated.
Yeah.
I know they put the work in. I know that they're good players, and I know that they can be a great team. It's just finding that missing pieces, right? And I don't know. I don't honestly know what a good fix would be there. Is it a roster problem? Is it a leadership problem? I don't know.
Well, wasn't Secretly their IGL?
Yeah, he's at IGL, yeah.
So who's IGLing now? Renewals?
No, I think it's Redgroove.
Redgroove is IGL.
I'm pretty sure it's Redgroove.
Did he not IGL on that old Room Factory team too?
No, that was probably Shepard.
Was it Shepard IGLing?
Probably.
In English? Shit.
No. Well, wait.
Because they were playing they were talking in English.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't Shepard.
I feel like that. I feel like that was just a shit show because of that. Like, I'm pretty sure they're fifth too. Like, his English was like bad. Like, they told me that. Like, Shepard and Joystick told me. I think it was Ponef.
What was their roster? Oh, Ponef. Yeah, his English is bad.
And they said his English was not good. And like, and like Joystick and Shepard both told me that. I was like, oh, well, that couldn't have been good.
No.
But maybe it was Redgroove then. So maybe he does have some experience.
It could have been.
I
just feel like it would have been.
I thought he was.
He could have been.
I just know that from experience, Shepard is a very strong post-plant, or like plant IGL. I don't know why he wouldn't be on that then. Or maybe he didn't develop that skill until later. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I feel like it would be harder for him in English. That's all.
Redgroove's English is more than strong enough to IGL.
No, so. I meant Shepard's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think I don't know Chaos as well, so like I could be just spewing bullshit. But like, just whenever I look at them, I feel like it's like the consistency or the inconsistency stems from the play style, and that I think if they want to be more consistent, they have to play a different style. But I will also say, like, I mean, like standard Siege doesn't suit everyone, but I don't know. I think no matter what, you're going to have some inconsistencies if you're playing that style. And I mean, maybe they've embraced it, because that's something you would have to do. I feel like if you play like that, because otherwise it'd be so fucking stressful, bro. Like, it would be so stressful. But yeah. And
then you have Team Secret on the other hand. I don't know, man. Like, really, I don't know what the, like, I watched them play, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not trying to flame them, but I watched them play, and I don't see a strong team. You know, like, I don't see that. I see some strong players trying to make some nice plays, but I don't see a team that's actually a team. Like, I don't know. Again, I'm being brutally harsh here, but
I mean, we were brutally harsh on E United last time, so you're welcome to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it's needed.
I hope they can. Yeah, I hope they need to seriously fix out their problems, and I don't know what that is. I see that Expo seems to be getting a lot of hate for playing bad. Same with Panix on our team; he gets a lot of hate for playing bad.
I mean, I'll say this about Expo: I get, and I try my best when casting to try to cover up when players are playing like shit. There's been too many matches where Expo just plays like shit. Like, no offense, like I hate to mince words here, but it's like there are a lot of games where it just looks like almost any former EU Pro League player would be an upgrade on that spot. Like, I'm sorry, and it's like it's kind of like the call out position in EU, like, or in E United. It's like I think Call Out's a really cool guy. Like, I think he's nice, and sure, he might be the greatest IGL ever. But there's just too many times where it's like he's in engagements and he loses fights that even an average to bottom average Pro League player wouldn't lose. And
Yeah, but
it just gets to a-
I would argue there's worse on United. I think
Ooh.
Forest.
Here's what I will say. I don't think as of the US division, I don't think Call Out is their worst player anymore.
Yeah.
Coming into this season, this new shakeup, he was their worst player. In terms of what he did on the field. Maybe he's good.
From what I noticed, Call Out brings more to the team than Forest.
I would say now, yes. I would agree with you now.
Call
as of
Call
today.
Out, like they'll play the round and then like Call Out will lose a gunfight and it's like okay, like Forest, like they'll be in a good position in the round and he'll do some shit to like give away the round. Like
yep. And this is we actually talked about this last time.
I joke with my team about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't, but like I think he trolls. Like it's like he picks operators, bro, that make no fucking sense. Like Seth made fun of it and like said, "Are you guys playing operator roulette?" And I've wanted to know the same thing. Seth said, "Does Call It tell you to play it, or do you just pick it yourself?" Because like, bro, Forrest picks operators you could not explain to me. Like you couldn't give me a reason.
Legion,
like,
and it's not actually part of like any intel setup or the Blackbeard that everybody talked about.
He picked Cav on Coastline against us before, bro. Like Jackal, you're okay. Bosco was going off with Jackal, but like it wasn't like we were tracking people and hunting them down. Like Bosco was just using the gun in the smokes, basically. Yeah. And he went to Cav, and then like one time he pretended to be AFK in a match against us. I'm not kidding, man. I thought he was AFK. I was on the drone and I was looking at him. He was looking at the drone, and he sat there and didn't move. He was behind the aqua bar on Coastline. I saw him on the drone, and I was like, "Is he AFK? Like he's not moving?" And I told Rampy, I was like, "I think he's like this is a match, man. This is a match." So I'm like saying to Rampy, I'm being cautious. I'm like, I think he's like pretending to be AFK, so we'll try to kill him. He was not. I opened the window behind him. I get back on the drone. He still didn't move. He was still crouched there. I was like, he's actually AFK. And then I started shooting him. He started to run, and he died. I couldn't believe it.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah, but going back onto the topic of
I will say also, though, I actually used to think Forrest was a good player. I don't know what happened. He like flipped the switch.
He
like
changed his name to Fofo-san, and it was just all downhill after that.
When he was on Obey, I used to think he was solid. Like he didn't pick troll ops, he didn't do shit, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But then like something happened on E United, and like he decided he wanted to be ridiculous.
I mean, to be fair, when he was on Obey, that was the Abunai, Fozo, Call Out, Forrest, Grixer lineup, right? And the only player on that lineup that I would say in game is probably better than him in gunfights is Grixer. So maybe it's easy for him to look good, especially against worse opponents in Challenger League. Then you pick up Yeti and Alfama. And I mean, say what you will about Yeti's leadership style. He's very mechanically talented. Alfama is as well. That whole team's structure changed when they picked up Yeti and Alfama, right? And maybe it was just like Forrest was in a position where it's like, man, maybe they don't need him the way that he played.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Because that's the thing too, is like I thought he was a decent player from playing against him, like in scrims. Like not even like he was doing well in Challenger League. I played against him on SSG, and I thought he was decent. Like I didn't think poorly of Forrest. Like I didn't think he was a fucking superstar or something, but like I was like, hey, he's fine. Like he deserves to be in Pro League. Like I had no complaints. And then something happened. I don't know what happened. But he changed as a player. And Seth said in the chat, apparently Call Out was telling him to pick those ops, which in that case, I don't know. There was some bad op picks.
For me, the one thing with E United, and I oh my God, we could do a whole episode about E United.
Oh boy, what have I done? What have I started?
For me, it's just like the team is an enigma for sure. I think Call Out has definitely improved. I don't know if it's just that the team is playing better, but there are so many rounds where it's like all of them will die. And it's Call Out in like a 1v3 or a 1v4. And it's just, you can't win those. You don't. And it happens so fucking often that it's just like, he can't, like his stats are going to be shit when it's like he's droning and everybody's dead because half the players don't get droned and they just sprint into the site and die. And it's like, your Call Out's on drone trying to drone them in. It's just like, I don't get it, but
no, dude, I'm sorry, but Super's like Forrest said Call Out told him to pick Blackbeard because Slevin kept swinging him. Like, come on, man. That's not the solution.
That's not the answer, bro.
That's not the solution,
you keep getting smoked, homie. Get on Blackbeard.
I don't mean to make fun of the guy, but fuck me. Oh yeah.
Yo, you're shit. I have no confidence in you. Put a shield in front of your face.
That one's bad, man.
Oh boy.
Anyways,
I don't
what
know.
I
I mean,
wanted to
I
say-
think there's a couple teams like that. We've seen that with teams in Latin America as well, where it's just like Liquid has honestly been like that a lot. Liquid will show up to an event and they will just steamroll everybody and nobody has a chance, and then they'll play an online best of one against a dumpster tier level team and struggle. And you're like, what is going on with this roster? Team 1 was like that a lot as well, where Team 1 looked like they could be the best team, and then they would just choke and totally implode against Red Devils and
Team 1 before this invitational that we won. Those guys handed our fucking asses to us, bro. We were like, thank God these guys didn't qualify. They were the best team we played. They were eating us alive. It was bad.
Yeah.
But then we checked the standings, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they're not doing that good in Brazil, and they weren't. They were like dead last, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't get it. But do you have another question, or do you want to ask him? I got one last quick question.
I just wanted to finish off.
I'll get another one maybe after yours if you're not.
So you wanted to finish off the chaos?
Yeah. I just wanted to say one more thing, like especially about Secret. Like, and this kind of goes for I guess Panic's in our team as well. He getting a lot of hate on social media that I don't think is justified. Yes, Expo is playing bad. Yes, Panic is playing bad. I don't think either of them are bad players, like anything but. It's just something isn't right in the way that they're playing right now.
Yes, and that goes.
And that might be the team problem as well, like
Yes.
that might not just be Expo playing bad. That might be Secret playing Expo bad.
Yes.
Like it's. And I think
Hojo
they
was
need
like
to
that on
figure-
DZ.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a solution to why that's happening. Maybe he actually isn't the problem himself.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're going
We
to have some
obviously
motivation problems.
Yeah, we obviously wouldn't know, and I agree with that. And I mean, that goes back to like what I was saying before, and that's why I added like I used to think he was solid. I don't know what happened, but like that does happen with players, and obviously they need to figure some things out. And like, for example, like someone like Forrest, like I think he could figure it out, because clearly before, like he wasn't doing this. Like I think he can figure it out and he'll be fine. Yeah, that goes the same with like those teams. Yeah, it's just obviously that's how it goes with any team. You don't know their problems, and yeah, sometimes someone looks a lot worse, and it's not necessarily like their fault.
Anyway, sorry, that's me on. Next question.
This question is from my father, and he says, ask Doki the most important question of the interview: Rangers or Celtic?
Well, it's first of all pronounced Celtic, and it's Celtic.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit how it's pronounced.
Oh.
I don't follow.
Okay.
I don't follow it. My dad needed to know if it was Rangers or Celtic.
It's Celtic. Sorry, I'm a Glasgow boy. I don't. If I had said Rangers, my friends would be DMing me.
I don't know what any of this means, so
yeah,
I'm not sure I quite understand.
It's like
Scotland is not a real country.
Yeah, football in Scotland is like religion, like seriously, but like it's like a horrible two religions. Like if you're a Rangers fan and a Celtic fan, you hate each other. Like you hate the way you speak, walk, talk. Fuck those guys.
Okay. No.
I got to see football hooligans in Poland, and they were pretty incensed after matches. There'd be like fights in the city center. So,
oh yeah,
I've heard some shit, man.
Yeah.
Heard some shit.
Yeah.
Okay, my question then. Is this the last one, or you got another one now?
No, I'm done.
I don't know. Okay,
I'll let you take last question before we wrap up.
All right. What did you learn from playing that has helped you for the rest of your life? Because I'm curious to know this, because it's a true thing. Like I've learned shit that will carry over. Like, what do you feel you've learned from playing?
Shit, man. I don't know. Like, I think one thing I'm currently still working on that's a very good life tool is patience. I think I am learning to have more patience with myself and people, because I think I rush into a lot of things. I'm kind of hyper aggressive type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
You probably know that from talking to me. I always want to. I can't wait, and I think I am getting better at that. Being taught to kind of just slow down, analyze the situation, and then do your take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just simple things. Like I said before, like thinking before you're speaking or whatever. Like small things like that. And I think they have a lot of characteristics that can help you, like IRL, especially patience. It's good to be patient and analyze things before you go into it head on. So I'd say that. What about you?
I mean, patience is one of them. I think the one that sticks out to me the most is like, I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's because of like the role I'm in and leadership stuff, but like just understanding people more and like what works for them, what doesn't, because that's something I've had to learn to understand. Is like I have to know who I can talk to in what manner, and like when it's better for me to say nothing at all,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And just also like how to utilize people the best, like what makes people comfortable and like kind of what brings the best out of them. And I think recognizing that and understanding that in more people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's that kind of knowledge kind of transcends into like whatever you can do. So
No, definitely. Like learning to give criticism the right way to the right people is a huge thing. Because giving the criticism I would give to you, for example, might be the wrong criticism I could give to INTERRO. And they would take that the wrong way. So deciphering that is actually really important. You're right.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Yeah, I guess like even to speak on like results of that, like it was something I initially struggled with a lot on EG. Like I was still kind of the same leadership figure, but I did struggle giving criticisms in the right way because some people I was probably a dick to them and I shouldn't have been. And I think transitioning to SSG, like I needed like the fresh start to be able to like approach things the right way. Like during my time on EG, I think I learned how to approach things the right way, but it was kind of like it almost felt like too late for it.
Yeah.
Like we were just kind of too stuck in our ways.
Yeah, that's a thing though. So that does exist. Yeah.
And then on SSG, I think it transitioned well where I came in with the right approach. I mean, I'm still learning tons. I still fuck up plenty, but
that's why I think that having fresh blood in the scene, like right now, as in like a non-experienced player, is actually something that can benefit a team really good. Not only is that player maybe more so motivated, but he's easy to shape into a player that you want to have in your team, So you can do a lot of things with unexperienced players that, you can't do with experienced ones.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is one of those things where I think the biggest step towards maturity is what you touched upon is how you give feedback to certain people and how you talk to certain people. I think that when you hear somebody say the phrase like, I just speak my mind, or I just tell it how it is, I think
you just haven't learned. Yeah,
you just haven't learned how to talk to people yet, or you're egotistical or ignorant. Like, it's straight up. Like, I mean, everybody is going to react to things you say in different ways. No two people are going to handle a certain comment a certain way. I think that's one of those things where, if you're so arrogant or you're so ignorant that you think you can just say things and everybody's going to take it the same way and you're never going to have to reap what you sow in regards to the way that you phrase things, then you either haven't had enough experience to realize that there are consequences for that, or you're just not considerate enough of other people's feelings and you don't care that there are consequences, but you're not thinking about other people. And it's like, and this goes back to a topic that's come up before, which is that a lot of people that end up in this industry, they jump in here from school and most of them have never worked another job. And they don't realize that, like, they think, oh, I'm really talented at the game. I've got a platform, I've got social media, etc. This is still work. This is a job. This is a career. This is an industry you're in. And the way that you say things, like, Ubisoft is always listening. The TO, whether it be ESL or Faceit or Dreamhack or whoever, they're always listening. And there are real people with real thoughts and real brains and real opinions who are working at these places. And when you're on a team, the way that you say things to your teammates, that's going to reflect on you. And your teammates at the time will at some point no longer be your teammates. Either you've left or they've left. And if you were an asshole, they're going to tell people. Right? So it's like the thing that people don't seem to understand is that maturity to me is understanding that sometimes it's not the message, it's how you say it. Because you can give the same style of feedback, but just in a different package. Some people want you to be blunt. Some people want honest feedback. Other people need you to bullshit it and layer it in the nicest words possible in a 20-minute long preamble before you get to the actual point. Everybody's different. And yeah, is it annoying that sometimes you just don't mesh with another person and how they want feedback? Yeah. Sometimes it irritates me that I need to be like, I need to handle people with kid gloves basically because they can't take feedback without getting upset. That irritates me. It does. But that's life. And you just kind of have to deal with it. And the people who realize that faster and the people who are good at tailoring their message to each style of person, I think go a lot farther in life. And I think that the faster you can do that, the better off you're going to be, whether you're leading a team or not. And like I said, a lot of kids come into this industry. They get a huge following on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch, etc. They get their bad habits reinforced. They don't ever have to work in a real environment. And they think they can just say stuff without wondering about if there's going to be any consequences or worrying about the consequences. And I think if you take a step back and realize that just because you play in an esport league, it doesn't change the fact that people are going to care what you have to say, and you have to be very careful about how you say it and to who you say it to.
Yep, exactly that.
Read.
Well said.
All right. Well, do you have a that was your last question, Mr. Troy, Mr. Nadian, Big Bad Nadian?
Big Bad Nadian. Nasty Nadian. We transitioned.
All right. Well, nasty Nadian. With that said, we're gonna give the send off. Plug your socials. Where can people find you? By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, Doki's links will be included down below. If you're on the audio side of things, feel free to follow. So if you could tell people where to follow you so that they know to connect with you, Doki.
I mainly use Twitter, so twitter.com/Doki_R6 is where you'll find me usually, or if you want to contact me there. I do sometimes stream at twitch.tv Doki, but recently I've been focusing more on competitions and stuff like that, so maybe you'll start to see more streams there with the off season happening now. But apart from that, Twitter is the best place to go. So yeah.
My mom said in chat, you forgot to make it shorter, Parker.
What, the stream?
The episode, yeah.
I mean, it's been under 3 hours technically because we had like 15 minutes of intro. So technically we're under 3 hours. Just a little bit though.
Not really. Like
we made it.
You're kind of stretching it there.
Dude, we talked about E United and it was like a time black hole. 20 minutes were just gone right there. So, but
true, actually. That was funny though. That made the episode.
That did. Anything for you to sign off, Mr. Nasty Nadian?
No, nothing really. Just thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes. Doki, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing your story and everything. I had fun. And that's just about it. Thank you, everyone. And see you again soon. We are 9 episodes in. And it's been really wonderful. Thank you so much. We're at like 7,000 some odd subscribers on YouTube, which is huge. If you made it this far, this is time for us to shamelessly plug again. If you haven't followed on Twitch or if you haven't followed on YouTube, please do so. Same with the audio components. If you're not following the channels on Spotify or Apple, feel free to do that. Other than that, do us a favor and go toss a Doki a follow on all the different platforms that he's on. And we'll be back next Sunday for episode number 10. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Wear a mask. Most important part. We'll see you next week.
See ya.